Okay. Hello.
Hello.
You find yourselves somewhere new. Arabelle Cormier. It is 3 p.m. on September 1st. And just like that, it became 3:01. You can sense the inexorable march of time. Everyone you know and their gods will be dead someday. Let us make the most of this in case we do not see each other again. You can see, in your mind's eye, somewhere 400 odd miles north, a half-elven man with a troubled brow. He takes a cigarette from a carton under his desk and lights it in silence. He reads and reads. The cigarette burns its way up to where the filter sits in the crook of his fingers, but he does not budge an inch. September is going to be a long month together if we can't tone down the depersonalization. We can watch Tierney smoke cigarettes some other time. Back here under the sun, you find yourself with people you have never met on a mission that was only briefly explained to you. You try to explain it to yourself as if you were telling your parents what you have been up to. Kill the spy master, save the world, something like that. Write to your mother and tell her that you decided to become a wraith of vengeance for a living. Don't expect a card. You inventory your little mind. The old man who gave you the short speech, John Smithfield, is here somewhere, you're sure of it. Ostensibly, he summoned you. You received quick introductions to a couple of guards, a safecracker, and a bureaucratic praetor who seems to be your handler. They must be here somewhere too, orbiting the axis of some cosmic power here under the name of the Paladins of the Radiant Heart. You also have a system of mental organization that allows you to chart your own path. Either way, it's now 3:02, and the action's yours.
I imagine we're rather short on time. I know the way to Little Avernus and can lead you.
We were going to split up.
Yeah, someone was gonna go get horses, someone was gonna talk to somebody.
I was on horse duty.
Ditto.
Yeah, that sounds right. I was going to speak to the spies. If I recall, one moment. Gasmere, Oswick, nothing gold? You were going to accompany me, is that correct?
Right, yes.
Yes, I have some business elsewhere in the building, actually, but I believe that you can handle it. I do, however, have a message that you could pass to the High Priestess for me.
I'm listening.
It's just this, and she pulls out it's like a little scroll of vellum, not paper, and there's a wax seal on it, and she just holds it out. When you hand this to her, I need you to tell her to give it to somebody who knows where there are no owls.
No owls, you said.
No owls, that's the important part.
And they'll supposedly know this cryptic message?
Yes, you can think of it as a tracer bullet.
I've
And
never
she looks
fired a gun.
around as if this might mean anything to anybody.
I've never fired a gun. I leave that to the dwarves.
Ada, please feel free to add this to your manifest as Nothing Gold's correspondence.
If those who are fetching the horses intend to speak with Tavern, I advise that you ask for a map of the mines, if we are to venture into them. And then Yasmir turns, clearly leaving this task to the peasants.
Alright, off we go then.
You should have control of your token. If you intend to go somewhere, please do.
I do not.
If you're not sure where you're going, you may need to ask directions.
What's the guy's name? Sorry, Praetor Walt Forbes. Is that correct? This is the person in the room with us.
He is grinning at you, optimistically waiting for you to accomplish the mission that he has set you on. He seems to think that no matter what happens, you'll get it done. He nods at you.
Praetor. Yes, excellent. Can you provide us with a map of this city? Specifically to where in the Temple of Sirik we should be going and who should we be talking to?
I'll give you the best that I can. However, a map of the city, that may take some time. I can give you simple directions, although I heard that that one already knows where he's going. Little Avernus is directly south of here. You have to go less than 2 blocks in total to get to the Temple of Sirik. It's right down the street.
What's the name of the contact?
Maris.
Maris. Very good.
Maris. She is the High Priestess of Sirik in the city. And again, she will help you with espionage on tyranny should you seek that.
Yes, try not to openly refer to the spies unless you're alone.
Try not to openly... Walt Forbes seems to digest this. I'm not sure what you mean.
She was looking at Ada as she says this.
Also, try not to use the bathroom with my trousers on. I will turn heel and walk out the door. Brenner, will you let me by?
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
So, where can we go to get the wagon and the horses situated?
Walt Forbes looks at you across the table, Taldred. They're already saddled and waiting for you on the northeast gate. Again, just here outside the temple. Merely 2 blocks to the north and the east.
What's the biggest wagon you have?
Praetor Forbes considers this for a moment. Probably an ambulance wagon. But we don't have the horses configured for that. They just have saddles suitable for 2, so that you can bring the miners back on horseback with you. There's 6 of you. We provided 6 horses, 4 miners. Are you sure that you need a wagon?
I think it'd be best.
Unfortunately, Mr. Talton, I don't think we have time.
Very well, then.
I apologize that I was not able to fulfill the provisions that you requested for. I will look into the map, however, and see if I can provide you something soon.
Well, that sounds great.
Don't even have a small wagon that we can strap a couple horses up to while they're doing their duties.
You all seem very focused on the wagon. You could have already left by now. It is a narrow, rough road up to this mining complex. I suspect what we have is what you'll want.
It'll do.
Alright. I mean, it's not like we can leave quite yet anyway.
Let's go get him, Yogi.
Sure.
And they head out to inspect the horses, I imagine.
See if you can find your way there.
Did he not point us in the direction?
He did point to the north and the east. Outside the temple,
Okay.
up East Rose Street to the north. Surely someone of your mental acuity will be able to figure this out, Taldred.
It's not exactly true.
Taldred and Yoros, I see you are going east down the road. We will visit you in a moment.
I think as everybody else starts to go off their separate ways, Nothing Gold will step up to Praetor Forbes and say, "So, John Smithfield, he's asked for me specifically.
That's exactly right.
I must go see what he wants."
He is here, and I'm sure he would be happy to talk to you. If he's not in his study, check the garden.
The garden. Very well. Is it all right to just wander around? There are no guards?
You were onboarded. You are a temple. You are a member of the Temple of the Radiant Heart, and our coffers and our temple is yours. Make yourself at home, Nothing Gold.
Thank you. I will. And she will skip out.
You do so, lightly walking across the marble flagstones. If you exit a certain direction, just let me know. I see we have two people going. You can either go west or east here on the road.
Oh, I thought the temple was south.
It is south, but there's a block right there. There's a shop in the way.
Fair enough. I will go west.
Sounds good.
I think my party is gathered and I'm ready to venture forth.
I believe you are as well, with the exception of Nothing Gold, who is not accompanying you, I believe.
Yeah, she will go look for John Smithfield around this area.
As you wish. First, at the East Rose Markets, we find Taldred and Euros. You are east of the temple. You can see the temple to your northwest there.
Okay, and then we are headed north, right?
That's what he said.
That's right.
Then we will try to... Is there a crowd in the way?
They're not necessarily in the way, but there is a steady flow of humans through here. This is a busy market, and there are people flowing north to south from where you presume the northeast gate must be to a lively market here, nestled amongst the trees.
Okay. I suppose we should just keep going north then.
The only thing to do. As much as I'd be interested in seeing what these crowds are about, I don't think we have the time.
We are very short on time.
Unfortunately, this crowd has taken an interest in you. Specifically, as you pass between the crowd and this mendicant sitting down on the flagstones here, he calls up to you, looking between the two of you. Hey, thanks, guys. You're our heroes. Thank you so much. You can tell he's being sarcastic.
We're on handsome people business. We have to go.
Oh, great. You're so handsome and wealthy and perfect. He salutes.
Flattery will only get you so far, and Taldred keeps walking.
You do so.
You too.
You venture north on the road. But first, heading west on Rose Boulevard, we have Ren Roswick, Gastmere, and Ada.
Brennan would be much more familiar with these streets than I personally am. Which direction are we headed?
You know you have to turn south. Make a intelligence check at advantage.
$18.
You infer that you have to take your first left here.
Brenner will silently push ahead and point in the direction that they're going.
You pass by an armed-looking fellow who looks at you. He seems to be standing in front of a closed shop.
I have no mind if he pays me none.
He pays you no mind. You don't fit the typical description of a larcenous fellow, you infer.
kind of a shop is it?
Roll perception.
Is it a 12?
You take in the shop. It has frosted green windows, looking rather exotic here in the city. You see a carved sign that reads, Prime Material. Roll intelligence.
That's a 4.
If there's a pun here, it's gone over your head. This shop has peculiar hours. A smiling carving of a moon explains to you that the owner prefers the night, and it says the hours are 8 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Gasmir looks to Ada. Ada's with us, right?
That's me.
Miss Worthware, was it?
Yes, Gasmir.
Yes. What do you make of that shop?
I'll take a look at the shop and try and regard what's in it.
Unusual, is it not?
Describe your method of inference.
I'm going to look at the sign, try and peer through the window, and wonder why there's a guard posted up front.
Let's resolve those in order. First, the sign. Roll intelligence.
$27?
It's not prime material, it's prime materiel. It's a pun.
Ah.
As you approach the window, the guard clears his throat. You could still peer inside, should you choose to.
I assume I could just walk in there, yes?
The door seems closed, and there is the impression of a shop that is not open. However,
I'm saying it to the guard. I'm trying to get a rise out of it.
Oh, I'm sorry. He responds with a weary cadence. You could come back in about an hour, but no, you can't go in right now.
Oh, closed for lunch? That's a late lunch.
That's exactly right.
I'll shrug and turn back to Gasmir. It seems like a shop that sells reagents, perhaps?
Perhaps we
Brenner's-
should keep it in mind.
Brenner's shoulders visibly slump. He lets out a sigh, turns around. I'm not much of a tour guide if I don't have a tour to give. I'm moving.
Yes, we're coming.
I'll sarcastically genuflect. Sorry, my lord.
Brenner, does this sarcastic genuflection cause anything to well up within you? Or you don't mind?
Mostly doesn't mind. He's not the biggest fan of being called a lord, but camaraderie comes with sarcasm.
The sun passes slowly in the sky above you.
Alright, come on. Through any of the populace down the street.
This street is quiet. You pass something of interest, however. To your east, there is a large aqueduct terminus. It ends in a open pool here where you can refill your water skin with clean water anytime you pass by it. You see many other people doing the same, gathering water for domestic use from this massive bit of engineering.
Has this been produced recently, by my estimation? Like post-spell plague?
You think surely it must have been. You imagine that almost all significant engineering projects have been born of necessity post-spell plague. As you consider this, you can smell the coal in the air, Ada.
We moving toward a district that burns coal?
You are in a city that burns coal.
I will plunk my staff on the pavement as I try and keep up with Brenner.
If you make that an audible, noticeable thing, Brenner will slow for you.
Yes.
Did you get winded easily, Ada?
I wouldn't admit it, but sure.
Brenner will weigh the sack of water skin to his side, noting that it is full.
You are well prepared.
Lavernus. Well, Lavernus isn't the safest place around, but they do have better drinks than this.
Gasmir and Ada, this rings true to you.
I'll continue the cadence down the road.
All three of you roll perception.
Is it behind me?
It's not. But thank you for
9.
asking. Noted.
8.
Noted.
We go 7.
Big natty one.
You feel a bit hemmed in here by the city as you pass between two narrow buildings on your way south toward Little Avernus. We will revisit you momentarily. Euros and Taldred. You are heading north toward the northeast gate.
After they've gone a little way, Taldred will turn to Euros and say, "How do you think you knew who we were?"
I don't know. One of their spies? Could have been. I mean, sounds like these people around here talk as well. They sound desperate. Maybe they made the announcement. I don't know.
You said you don't know much about the Zentarum.
I don't.
Well, I can tell you, beggars, tavern owners, guards, anyone who sees a lot of foot traffic, always high potential candidates for Zentarum spies.
As with any spy, I would presume.
Yours, you know that to be right. However, something about Taldred's warning seems particularly valid to you. The idea that people may be surveilling you in plain sight.
But I will heed your advice and I will be careful with my words.
It's a good idea. It's-
I
How
am
are
a
you with
brash man,
animals?
but I can also be a careful man.
All right. How are you with animals?
In what way?
Well,
I've had pets growing up, and if you're asking me to identify a horse, I could point one out to you.
Taldred just looks, and he just takes a second. He says, "Okay, how about riding a horse, handling a horse?"
Yes, my time serving, I've done plenty of both.
That's good. That's real good. So they make their way towards the horses.
Do so. As you pass under this keep, you notice that there are two archers on the battlements studying you. There is a steady patter of foot traffic here, mostly commoners from what you can tell. This is a large metropolitan city, and foot traffic is ubiquitous. It is easy to find what you've been sent here to locate, Taldred. Both of you see 6 saddled horses with saddlebags, all tied to a post. There is a man in an iron helmet. He looks short, stout, happy to see you. You wonder how long he's been here tending his horses from this single bale of hay. Some of the horses are drinking water. One of them eyes you warily as you both approach.
So, Taldred, as many people here know, grew up on a farm. How do these horses look to him?
Healthy, well cared for. It is a motley crew of... There is a single quarter horse. There are 2 draft horses. It is not quite what you'd expect from a cavalry organization, but you get the impression that this may be the best that they have.
Right. Well, per Taldred's insight, we're basically the Z team. So I was wondering about the quality of these horses. Like, are they down to their most downtrodden horses, or do these seem like they'll actually make the journey no problem?
You let this thought ferment in your head. You think that while you may be the Z team, when you're out of letters, you probably throw everything you have behind that last one.
Okay. So I don't have my notes. The guy's name was Walt Forbes?
Walt Forbes was the praetor who was your handler who directed you over here.
Right. So when Taldred approaches, he said, Walt Forbes sent us here. He says these horses are for us.
The horseward rubs sweat off of his brow and looks up at you. This is a slight man. This is I know the lot of you. There's 6 horses saddled, ready to go, and I can answer questions you might have about the journey. I've made it many times myself.
Taldred reaches his hand out and says, Taldred Talton.
Hi, just call me Carl. He gives you his hand and shakes it. He has a meaty paw. It's sweaty and dirty, but comfortable.
What would you say is average round trip, time-wise?
Round trip, 12 hours. It'll take you 6 hours to get there, 3 hours a leg. Now, if you do it at night, I'd expect that time to be doubled. It'll take you 3 hours. He stops for a moment and traces a design on the dirt for you. He makes a squiggly line to the north of the city and taps a stick on the ground. That'll take you 3 hours to get to the way station. From there, it's 3 hours north to Garden Reach. If you do either of these segments at night, unless you're an exceptional handler of horses, it'll take you double time to make the same amount of progress. Now, you could stop at the way station if you think you need to.
What about the way station?
Just a stop on the road for miners.
Does anybody frequent there? I mean,
He has a bit of a belly laugh. Not for long, I would hope. More of a flop house, he says, lowering his voice.
got it.
But it's better than sleeping on the side of a roadway.
I suppose so.
The way your tone is about this station, it sounds like we'd be better off staying on the road.
A matter of strategy, I'd say. Not my place. I just tend the horses, and I'm supposed to tell you about the road if you have any questions. But you're right. It may be best to avoid the way station. Depends how tired you get tonight.
I don't think that's our call on which path we take, though, ultimately.
All right. I suppose Unless Euros has anything else to say. We're probably just going to wait for the others to show up while we sit here with the horses.
You do so, waiting for your party to coalesce around you at what was suggested as a meeting point, or what would certainly be a logical one. We revisit back in the Temple of the Radiant Heart. Nothing Gold's search for an old man.
So outside of our dear friendly praetor, how would the other people in the temple react?
As you walk around, you see myriad people eyeing you up. You certainly stick out here, Nothing Gold, as everyone else that you've seen so far in the temple is a human. There are multiple paladins who you have not had the pleasure of interacting with yet. There are two that seem to have stations of importance inside the guard here. There is, as you said, Praetor Walt Forbes. Somewhere out there, you know John Smithfield must be, and you see an acolyte or two walking around maintaining the grounds. You get the impression that people are rather hopeful in the future of you. People are optimistic about you being here. However, both of the guards that you've met seem to have skepticism. They seem to direct a skeptical gaze at you as you walk around.
So I think she may, after wandering a bit, end up approaching this person who seems to be in possession of some knowledge that might be helpful to her, she hopes.
This is a paladin of the Radiant Heart. She would be more than happy to provide some general information or directions, should you see fit.
Nothing Gold will compliment her armor to start, and then ask where she can find either the study of John Smithfield or the garden.
This paladin appreciates your compliment. Your flattery is well received. She gestures toward the northwest for the garden and suggests to you that Smithfield's study is downstairs. But she thinks that he was last seen in the garden, from what you can tell.
She'll turn to leave, but as she goes, it's as if something strikes her, and she'll say, "Do you usually get this many people? Was today just a special occasion?"
She explains to you that this is, in fact, a special occasion, as the last resources of the temple are being used on the Praetor's project.
Praetor Forbes, specifically.
That's right. I have a cross-the-table question. Can people see nameplates for NPCs?
I
Can you
cannot.
see nameplates? Okay.
I cannot.
We can for the player characters, but not the actual
Yeah.
NPC.
Hold that thought for 1 second, just to make this easier for everybody. How about now for that guard? Do you see a nameplate?
I might have to refresh, so let me try that.
No such luck.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Forget it. Here in the Temple of the Radiant Heart, I'm going to start at 12 o'clock north. We're going to go clockwise, and I'm going to give you the names of NPCs, just so you're able to orient yourself, especially because many of these, everyone in the party has already met. At about 1 o'clock, Walter Forbes, Praetor, who you've met, the bureaucrat. At the base of the stairs, Roger Dale, Safecracker, Taldr Talden, you know this man. Perhaps it's best to avoid him. There is an unnamed Radiant Heart Paladin standing just outside of Walter Forbes' room, and there's another unnamed Radiant Heart Paladin standing guard, having a brief conversation with you, Nothing Gold. At the top of the stairs leading downward, there is an unnamed acolyte. At about 5 o'clock, you have New Paul Arthraid, one of the guards that helped people in. At about 7 o'clock, you have Samantha Ruthenberg, the other guard that helped herd people in. At about 10 o'clock, northwest, by himself, you have John Smithfield. And, back in character, thank you for your technical assistance.
Yes, I think Nothing Gold with that information will take her advice and go northwest towards the garden. I assume this is an arch.
That's
Pass underneath it.
That's
Okay.
exactly right. This is a marble arch that has been etched with the shield of Helm.
And then was this the area where we all met at the very beginning?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
This is the amphitheater of which you sat in when you listened to John Smithfield's rather brief introductory speech.
All right, she will gingerly make her way around, sort of out of habit, looking to see if anybody's left anything behind, by the seats, that sort of thing, and then make her way out towards the garden.
Let's do that in sequence. First, you spy to see if there's anything left behind. Roll perception.
$18.
You do see something. You're unsure of the significance of it, but you notice that something catches your eye. On the lectern, a blue fountain pen. The color blue sticks with you.
It does. It's rare.
It seems out of place.
I think she will actually go skip over and collect the blue fountain pen.
You do so. Add it to your inventory as a miscellaneous item.
If she tries it on her palm, is there still ink?
There is still ink.
What color is the ink?
A brilliant iridescent blue.
Wow.
Something
This is
about,
actually going to make her entire year.
as you trace the design on your skin, you can feel the hardness of the nib, and you get a sense that the ivory-handled pen is very well made. This is someone's. Do you swipe it?
Is it someone's if it's been left behind? She'll take it with her, but it's not as if she's going to stuff it into her pocket. She still has it in her hand as she goes out into the garden.
You do
See
so.
John Smithfield.
You see him well before he sees you. His eyes are a livid yellow, and he's looking out toward a point of nothingness out in the distance. He's slouched in a chair, and there is a lit pipe emitting a small tendril of smoke on the table. He coughs a deathly sounding cough as you walk outside.
Oh dear, it's our dear conductor. Hello, I hope I'm not interrupting anything.
He coughs and sits up suddenly, greeting you. Hello, nothing gold. Nice to see you.
Yes, I admit everything that I've heard of you. Well, I wasn't quite expecting. They clearly did not exaggerate the state that you're in.
Roll medicine.
She said, as she's saying this, she's like gesturing with the pen in her hand as if it were a baton. So
You are nothing if not unsubtle, nothing gold.
16 for medicine.
This is the characteristic cough of advanced tuberculosis. He looks up at you and says something somewhat unexpected. The last time I saw you, Nothing Gold, you were in a field. The blue sky was everywhere overhead. Not a cloud I could see. And then the storm horns rose up from nothing, towering over you. He gestures up toward the sky. You're not sure what his frame of reference is. You are not sure what he's talking about.
Did I see you? Where were you?
He smiles and shakes his head. I don't think you could see me.
It's creepy.
I'm sorry, but I'm here now.
You are. Just in time. And as I have foreseen, you are here, and you will do everything we need in order to save. He pats on his thigh. All of this. He cracks a funny smile.
And what of you? Have you seen your own end?
That's a fairly forward question to ask, but yes, I have. I have seen my own end. I wish we could talk about something else, but yes.
Sorry, it's just the reality of the world that we live in.
Yes, when you get old, you often think of your own death. That is the reality of the world.
Well, and as the sun starts becoming scarcer and the trees around you start to wither, you also begin to wonder how long you have for yourself. But I completely understand and I apologize. I am primarily concerned with this scent attack that will be visited upon this.
In
village.
2 days, I have seen it before it has happened. It will happen. 2 days here at the gate.
Will the people be safe?
I don't think so. I hope that people will be, but I sense that there will be losses and death.
And what of you? Do they have means by which to protect you? Because honestly, the safest place may be with us.
I would agree. That is exactly why you must be back here for the attack. I will need you to protect me. I agree with you, Nothing Gold. Without you at my side, surely the entire city will perish.
All right, no pressure. This is fine. I've had to paint many things against a wild deadline. This is just another one. Have you always had this magic, this way of seeing things?
I don't think it's magic, just the power of dreams.
Dreams?
We will revisit you momentarily, Nothing Gold.
She says, unimpressed. Dreams?
We revisit Brenner Oswick, Ada, and Gastmere, passing into Little Avernus, which is not the best area of Arabel. You detect a sheen of oily black residue on seemingly everything here, driven by coal-fired boilers and wood fires. Smoke hangs in the air. You hear the sounds of people in taverns being bawdy. You hear an argument over the price of chicken. You hear someone cleaning their laundry.
I'll push past Brenner and continue the advance.
Brenner Oswick. Ada has pushed past you twice in no less than 5 minutes. Do you...
He'll audibly just state, I suppose I'll form the rear guard then.
Speaking of rear guard, I suggest everyone watch their coin purse here.
As long as you know where you're going. You aren't going to lead us astray.
Well, if I do, I'll just stop and ask for directions.
Very
Based
well.
on the directions we were given, it should be another block south.
Gastmere, roll insight.
Let's hope. Oh gosh, inside. Oh, 16.
You sense that I'll stop and ask for directions may not be the degree of freedom that it appears to be. You wonder if Ada is naive. A strange quality for someone with so many wrinkles attached to their smile.
This isn't exactly the way that Casimir thinks about it in her head, but she lofts an eyebrow, and her thoughts sum up to fuck around to find out, I guess. If we get lost, we'll see what happens. She does not keep an eye out, actually. She just haughtily carries on. Like, if something's going to jump us or anything like that, it will happen, and that something's going to find out what happens then.
You allow yourself to drop your guard. You're more relaxed than your compatriots.
I'm progressing along,
You are.
indicating to Brenner. As I go, I will try and study buildings, not people. Try and catch what looks like it could be a Temple of Sirik.
Roll insight.
Free.
You glance around, looking for an obvious Temple of Sirik, perhaps a sign that reads Temple of Sirik. There is no such thing, and you can't help but notice that two commoners standing around a well are watching you carefully, Ada. This is something that you're rather accustomed to. This is what happens when you wear a robe in the city.
I'll pull my robe tighter around my body and continue.
The woman by the well turns to her compatriot and says, "Oi, I told you."
I'm sorry, what was that?
Nothing, nothing. She backs up, placing both hands in the air as if you were about to cast some type of offensive spell at her.
Casimir looks very approving of this. By Ada's action was met with approval from Casimir.
Let's talk. Let's uncork that. You approve. Gaspir approves of Ada challenging someone. Maybe a little bit of putting her boot on this person's metaphorical neck. Did they fuck around and find out?
Quite hard enough, but yeah, it was a little bit like that.
You internalize this. Brenner Oswick, you see a brief altercation with the front end of your party. Ada shouts something at a beggar.
Once the beggar recedes, he does nothing of it.
You do so. Little Avernus lives all around you. You smell crackling pork somewhere.
I will not mind any person in the square. I'm mostly looking for buildings.
The sense overwhelms you, Ada, that as much as you want to study buildings, people are not going to leave you, of all people, alone as you look around. Best to be judicious before too many people with their hand out approach you. There is a old man with a shabby hat watching you from the close grass here. He is sitting down on his butt with his legs crossed, looking up at you piteously.
I'll do the typical city-goer action and not notice poor people.
You do so. You harden your heart. Ada Worthware, you transgress.
In front of me, is this a gate?
That is a stone structure with 2 sconces. It appears to be a gray slate building, perhaps a temple, with a tunnel extending into the building itself. It appears to be hewn from rock.
I'll look back at my companions.
Can't say I've wandered in there drunk before.
You're from the city, Brenner?
Close enough. Very familiar.
I'll point and kind of cock my head at the structure.
Brenner, this is not your scene, but you think he might be right. Gastmere, this is not your universe. This slum brings you great disquiet. You can smell old fryer oil, but you get the impression that this could be the temple as Ada stands in front of it, gesturing toward it.
This does appear like a temple.
Where's all the people demanding gold from me?
Do you say that out loud?
I do.
Does that happen often?
At temples? Absolutely. Seems to be their primary purpose nowadays.
She's not wrong.
Extorting money from the poor, spending it on opulent displays of their deity who won't whisper in their ears anymore.
Those that still do.
You
So-
notice the blessing stopped, but the tithing did not. Curious.
Gastmere and Brenner, do you agree with Ada's sentiment?
100%.
Gastmere?
Jasmine probably doesn't actually visit temples. Like, I don't think she's had the time to go into any temples since for a very long time. She's been busy with other things, so she wouldn't know what they do at temples, but that sounds reasonable, so she nods.
You both agree and harden your hearts just a bit. We'll revisit with all of you momentarily. Outside the northeast gate, Taldred Talton, you're a Thnalian. Did I say your last name right? Thnalian?
The Hellion.
Dehelian. You find yourselves waiting and smelling of horse. Several of the horses seem to be growing impatient, as are you. Still continuing to wait?
Is there anywhere to like sit?
Sit on the horse.
I'd rather not.
You could rest your weary bones, Mr. Talton, on. There is a statue of someone on a horse. This person doesn't matter to you. There is a overhang that leads toward the road. Looks like it might be comfortable enough to sit on.
Why are you here, Yoros?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Oh, I thought you said while you're here, and I thought you were gonna follow up with a question.
Gotcha.
Why am I here?
Yeah.
I simply received a missive to report for duty. And if I am told to report to somewhere, that is what I do. Simple, straightforward, no questions asked. Here I am.
What kind of business is that?
Kind of business?
Yeah.
I mean, it's whatever the Flaming Fists need.
I see.
Justice, carrying out the law, saving the weak and the trodden, doing a good deed, whatever they seek, or whatever I deem is part of that codex, that's what I will do. I was simply handed this missive. I was told that Justice was needed to be carried out, and I was sent on my way. And who am I to say no?
I mean, we could be looking at the end of the world here. They just sent you.
Everybody else is on a budget. I don't see why we are as well, but I think I'm more than capable of handling this. And plus, if we don't, suddenly it's not our problem anymore.
I didn't mean any offense. I'm sure they sent their best.
I think I do good work.
I can't
I mean, sure,
wait
they
to
could have
see
sent
it.
like the stalwart champion or some other bigwig, but I like to think I'm the best of what they got.
Okay.
Or maybe
Taldred,
perhaps my skill set is what they needed. It's hard to say. Anyway, I'm not offended. It's okay.
Taldred Euros is a man with a rigorous code. What do you think of that?
I would say that as far as Taldred's concerned, the way the world is right now is not a great time to have a code.
You internalize this. We revisit Nothing Gold, who is under the cloak of dreams of John Smithfield.
Yes, the moment that he says the word dream, she sort of makes this face like she's bitten into something unexpectedly sour.
You did. You just bit the world's apple, and it tasted sour rather than sweet.
I knew someone once who would have said that dreams were magic.
Some people say it's the power of prophecy. I don't know that I'd call it that, but my dreams have a way of coming true. Perhaps it's a gift from Helm. He lowers his voice. Perhaps it's a gift from Mystra. Sensing that maybe he said too much, he quickly clears his throat and changes the subject. You needed something, Nothing Gold.
Only to see that you were safe. I think a lot of us have questions about why it was that we specifically were sent for, named, in fact, but it sounds like you simply saw us, heard our names spoken out loud. By any voice in particular?
He looks down and shakes his head as if it's an answer he wishes that he had but doesn't.
Do you feel burdened by this gift?
He chuckles a weak laugh. I feel burdened by a great many things today. So yes, I would say knowing what will happen is a bit of a burden.
If you could give it up, would you?
Absolutely not. I would like to think that what I can see I use for good. Bringing you here, that was a good move, right? He smiles weakly.
I'm just sorry that this world is not kind to dreamers.
Well said.
Do you know who this pen belongs to?
He takes it in his hand. One moment. He studies it for a moment, using his powers of reasoning. He shakes his head. I feel like I've seen it before, but no, I can't place that pen. Looks exotic.
Who else spoke at the lectern besides you? I only got there in time to see your speech before they ushered you away.
We use the lectern in that hall for a number of things. Training, tactical discussions, discussions of scripture. Many people have used that lectern. It's nothing particularly unique to stand at it.
All right.
But
Well,
that is a strange object.
strange.
He hands it back to you.
You would not expect to see this here?
Just not something you see every day. That's all.
All right. Well, keep an eye out in your dreams, I suppose, if you see somebody with it. I'll be back before the Zent battle and make it right then. Do you need anything?
That is a wonderful question, but not right now. I thank you for your service and everything you've already done.
I look forward to working together.
Hopefully, a long and distinguished relationship together between you, me, and the temple. We revisit the trio in Little Avernus. There is now a beggar shouting at the three of you. He is yelling, "Fate's been cruel to me, but obviously not to you." The longer you stand here, the more nonsensical epithets he tosses toward the party. Gastmere.
Rabble rouses.
Say again, go ahead.
The rabble rouses. We should go inside
I think that would be for the best.
before someone gets hurt.
I'll walk up to the door and test it.
It's a large, heavy oak door that opens in the middle, parting access and allowing you to go inside. It's open.
I'm going in.
Is anyone not accompanying Ada? You can wait outside if you'd like, of course.
Renner's definitely going inside.
Smith's going inside as well.
You find yourself somewhere new. You walk down these stairs, Ada. This temple is simple. There is no expense here. There is a simple altar. You see at the corner of the altar a sleeping spot on the corner, as if someone has been sleeping at the edge of the altar. There are 3 people in here, and they all look at you as you enter.
I will walk up to the person closest to me. And I will just grunt at him. Merrick?
What languages do you speak, Ada?
Ada speaks Common, Elven, Infernal, Abyssal, Gnomish.
This man sizes you up and says, "Lator Zakai." You have no idea what this means.
I'll shake my head and regret that I didn't study Dwarven in college.
You have one more regret.
Renner comes up shoulder to shoulder with Ada. He does speak Dwarven. What did he say?
It wasn't Dwarven.
All right then.
It's all Greek to me. I'm going to continue down the hall and make for this person who seems to be sleeping in the temple.
She's awake. It's a woman who looks over her shoulder at you. She's wearing a simple gray linen robe, and she looks bemused at your presence.
I assume you know who I am?
Ada Worthware.
Ha, so impressive.
Yes, knowledge actually is rather impressive if you think about it.
That's true. So, you prefer we speak here, or do you have elsewhere?
We can speak wherever you'd like, but I hide nothing from these people.
She gesturing to the party, or the other people in the temple?
She's gesturing toward the other people in the temple, but you are caught in the gesture as well.
Very well. What aid can you give us in the form of power? Which you purport to be knowledge.
She smiles. So, let's catch up with each other. You're here to get information in order to defeat Tyranny Fang, the spy master of the Zentarum, and I have been paid nicely to assist you with divination. So, here's what I can help you with. And your compatriots too, she calls down the hallway, seeing if anybody else would like to join in this discussion. What I can offer you is knowledge. If you tell me something that you'd like to find out about Tyranny, or Zental Keep, or the approach to Zental Keep, I can do my best to give you concrete information related to what you're looking for.
Do you have a man on the inside?
Yes.
What reports did this person send back?
Multiple. I receive many reports daily from my multiple agents inside the keep. We know that Tyranny is growing increasingly paranoid. We know that he is fortifying his defenses. We know that the longer you take, the more difficult it will be to get at him. Was there something specific that you wanted to know?
I would like to know the outline before I ask specific questions. Unfortunately, we're going into a situation we may not know very much about. Perhaps your man on the inside would have better insight as to the direction in which we should deliver questions.
She nods her head. You don't know the questions to ask. A reasonable take when presented with information that is outside of the realm of your mind. You don't know where to start. She sighs and looks away. This may be more complicated than I anticipated.
Divination was never my forte.
Evocation is, though, as is my understanding.
Yes, and my only regret is that I cannot kill Tyranny Fang twice.
Maris looks over your shoulder at your two compatriots. We have lots of people with skills of some kind. Best of luck to all of you.
Do their reputations precede them as well?
Dossiers do, certainly.
I will look at my companions and see if they have something to add.
Does Tyranny still possess the mean that they severed this state of the world that we're in current? Does he still hold that power?
I don't understand the question, Mr. Oswick. Does he still possess the power to...
He looks around himself. Sever magic from the world.
I suspect what you're referring to is something that already happened in the history books 10 years ago. I do not think you can cut off the same arm twice, so to speak.
Just a man, then.
Well, she lets the syllable linger and it echoes inside the temple. You get a sense of how bare all the walls are. It goes, well. There might be a little bit more there than simply a man or truly a half-elf. One of the few things that we know about Mr. Fang is that he has a phylactery or something resembling one. It is widely understood that he made a deal with a lich. This is one of several things that I could look into for you, should you choose that. Is that what you wish to know more about? Tyranny Fang's immortality?
Please.
I presume that is a longer project, and you cannot provide us with answers immediately, is that correct?
Miss Gastmere, that is exactly correct. It will take a certain amount of time for me to provide you the necessary information, but I expect that this is not the last time that we'll see one another.
We do have more pressing concerns. We have a mission, and evidently there is going to be an attack on the city. Is that something that you are able to provide information on immediately?
She tilts her head and lowers her voice. Between you and me, Old Man Smithfield is cracked out. He has no idea what he's saying. There's going to be an attack that he saw in his dreams. If he wasn't paying me to help you, I would not listen to a single thing that man has to say. Here, in this temple, in this world, we like results, not dreams.
Interesting opinion. Noted. Ah, and we do have something for you, don't we?
Ah, yes. Thank you for reminding me. I will pull out the vellum note from my pocket, Nothing Gold's correspondence, and I'll hand it to her, and I'll say, "Go where there are no owls."
Maris takes this and doesn't say a word. She nods her pointed little chin and seems to listen to this message, but won't acknowledge it. So, what you'd like me to look into is Tyranny Fang's immortality, and potentially, I would imagine, methods to defeat it. Is that correct?
Yes.
As you wish.
I have 2 more questions for you, Maris.
Maris laughs. Oh, I'm in the business of answering questions now, I suppose. Go ahead.
We all are. First question, how long should this take?
Should what take?
I assume you're going to divinate the locations as to his phylactery.
Probably 2 to 3 days. She looks over her shoulder at someone in a red robe over her, to her left. I can't seem to ping. Goes, Lawrence, 2 days, 3 days? He says, yes, 2 days, 3 days, something like that.
At a glance at Lawrence, are the red robes indicative of his allegiance to the kingdom of Thay?
You think they might be. You have no way of instantly divining that information, but that seems like an excellent thread to pull on.
One last question, Maris. Do you still hear Cyrix Vile Susurrus in your ears?
Vile Susurrus. Oh, so naive, Ada. Well, I almost don't want to dignify your pathetic insults to my faith with a comment, but I commune with the Lord of Deception every day. When's the last time you spoke to your God?
I will change the subject so as to avoid this question.
She looks pleased.
Very good. 2 to 3 days with your lackey Lawrence over here. Hard to tell who's the lackey, I suppose.
She nods and crosses her arms as if to suggest that you have suddenly achieved lackey status.
I have nothing else. I will turn and walk away.
You do so. As you do so, you hear Lawrence chuckle as if he wants you to hear it. He goes, huh.
I'll turn around and look at him and stop.
He stares you down.
Oh, I'm taking the measure of him.
You take the measure of him. Lawrence is about 5'9". He's wearing a red robe that seems to be in wonderful condition. This is a man who doesn't have to walk through mud very much. As you watch him, he curls and uncurls the fingers on his hand as if he's testing you mentally as well. The longer you stand there and stare at him, he stops and spits on the ground. He calls to you, profligate, hedge wizard.
I'm sure your lich masters in Thay think very highly of you.
Actually,
The living are so important to that kingdom. You'll certainly sit on that throne one day.
At least my people have a throne. What do you have? Nothing? Oh, yes, I believe that's right. Keep praying to nothing. Let me know how that goes. Yes, please insult the undead. Must be fun to argue with people who can't argue back. What a tough woman.
Yeah.
What a tough woman you are, Ada.
I am, in fact.
Quite busy. If you intend to start something, I will make a point to finish it quickly. And I'll look at him.
He looks directly at you, Gastmere. Go ahead. Strike me down here. Watch what happens.
Ah, yes, Sirik cares so much about you. And other lies you tell yourself in the dark of the night.
I don't just invite it. I want it. Doesn't martyrdom taste so sweet in your mind?
All right,
God.
everyone. We can measure our spell books elsewhere. We have horses to get to. Brenner openly points towards the door. Carry on.
You want a blaze of glory. A death like that. Unfortunately, I'm not in the business of helping you out. I'll turn my heel.
Gastmere cracks her neck from side to side, looks at this man very longingly, with violence in her eyes. But then they go dead again and she turns and leaves.
You consider an escalation to physical violence, but you choose not to, Gastmere.
Not this time.
You file these violent thoughts for later.
Surely there's nothing wrong with bottling up your emotions or anything like that.
Not at all. Brenner looks back to Maris before he leaves. Thank you for your time and apologies for my retinue.
Mr. Oswick, apology accepted, and I will remember your courtesy for next time. Thank you, and good travels to you and you only.
See how it goes. Brenner will make his way out of the building.
Yeah, I'm leaving.
Gastmere considering a Terry.
I will leave as well.
You think better of it. You find yourselves back in Little Avernus, and we will revisit you momentarily. In the Temple of the Radiant Heart, nothing gold. Is there anything you are intending to do?
No, I think having finished her conversation with Smithfield, she'll ask for directions to... And she realizes that she doesn't think that they designated a meeting point, but might as well go see what they're up to with the horses.
You do so. Do you exit this area heading, it sounds like, east on Rose Boulevard?
I think so, yes.
Care to let the dice decide? Want to make an intelligence check?
I will make an intelligence check. That sounds great. I love intelligence. 18.
You remember quite well, having heard this 5 or 6 times during the course of your tenure here. It's to the east.
Alright.
You find yourselves here. You find yourself here. On the far east end of East Rose Boulevard, where there is a market. There are crowds of people, and you walk onto this busy street.
Are there any artisans?
There are. Looking here into the... You allow yourself to get distracted. You see multiple artisans. You see a lay alchemist. You see a glass blower. You see a grain broker. You see a kiln worker. and you see a grim-looking merchant who seems to be fighting off an entire crowd.
The rest of the people aren't getting as much traffic because of this grim-looking merchant.
You have no idea.
What's this guy's deal? What is he selling?
It's a
She'll like make her way into the crowd and be like, "What's the word? What is everybody doing here?"
It's a halfling in a black robe. You get shoulder to shoulder with some other people. It smells like humanity in here. There is coffee on people's breath, wine, the odor of people's body. You are shoulder to shoulder with plenty of people. Everyone is crowding around this little merchant in a black robe. He seems to be trying to get distance from these people, and he's shoving them away with his staff. You try to ask, does anyone know what this is about? Roll insight.
Insight. 8.
A black robe? Something about that seems peculiar, but you can't quite place it. We'll revisit you soon, Nothing Gold. Here in Little Avernus, we find our healthy trio.
Just not to make enemies with an information broker.
I have a head full of steam. I'm charging ahead.
Yes, and then you'll be able to make pay.
Better keep up, Bretter. That's heavy plate you're wearing.
Gasmere presses on.
Brenner follows in last place, making sure that they aren't tailed by the nice beggars behind.
How would you evaluate if someone's tailing you?
At the very least, the beggar that was sitting there, if he is following him, he's pretty much the only person he's too terribly worried at this point with.
He is following you, and he is shouting fairly incoherently something about how you can tell that he feels that he is ill-fated and you are favored by fate, and he feels that he is disenfranchised and it is not his fault. You have a funny sense that nothing that happens to this guy is his fault.
As long as he isn't being physically aggressive, he's not going to break line.
You do so. Brenner Oswick, you pass by this little tree. It's grown orange here in the autumn, and as you walk past, a single leaf falls and lands by your feet. Do you think anything of this?
I don't think he would. It's a leaf. It's fall.
The changing
Many
leaves.
other things on his mind at this point.
The changing leaves have no effect on your emotions.
Seen enough years. Just another autumn.
How old are you, Brenner?
46.
That armor does feel heavy, doesn't it?
Every year.
As you adjust the shoulder strap on your right pauldron, something occurs to you. Neither of the two companions you're with are wearing anything resembling armor.
He is incredibly aware of this is lingering very much at the top of his head. He's, at this point, more worried about how in the world he's supposed to keep these two alive, traveling into the Zental Keep.
Any further thoughts or explorations here in Little Avernus, or are you heading northward?
Yeah, I'll yell back. These are the people we're trying to save. We're gonna risk our lives for these people.
Them and many other.
Ada Worthware, how would you describe what you just expressed? Resentment?
Exasperation. I am letting out my frustrations by covering it with comedy.
Ada, in a brief moment, you can imagine something. As you're walking back this way, you think about when you walked through this way. You feel as if you've been a bit cruel to the little people, and you wonder how this will weigh on your soul.
If it jumps into my mind, I will merely quicken my pace. I'm sure it might come up later, but I can't address that now.
It jumps into your mind, but you quickly move past it. Any further thoughts in this zone, Gastmere? Ada?
Smith thinks that all these people will be dead if the world is not saved.
Does it weigh heavily on you?
She is more concerned with her family, but she is also somewhat concerned with the concept of country and legacy as well, like a lasting something that carries on, that she's a part of, and that must not fall.
From within you, a sense of, I want to make sure I have this correct, a sense of nationhood almost blossoms, where you feel like there should be some durable human idea, something that persists after everyone you know is gone, and is perhaps the only way to achieve immortality, if your ideas last far past you. Did I interpret that correctly?
Yes, and without civilization, we're all just animals.
Here in the rougher part of the town, you have a direct sense that everyone is in fact an animal. You watch as someone rips the fat and gristle off of a rib as they sit by a fire. Looking up into one of the cheap flop houses here, you can see what seems like people coupling in a window. You see people drinking water from a well that is surely contaminated. Yes, you are surrounded by animals. And it sounds like the three of you head north, back up through East Rose Boulevard.
Yes, eager to leave.
We find you here again. As you are moving through the city, you wonder what your companions are doing. Yoros and Taldred. Where are these people?
Was that like? Were you looking at that from our perspective? Like we're sitting there, like
I
where
am
the hell are they?
very much
Exactly.
agitated and pacing back and forth.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. That was from your perspective. Where are these guys? Yoros, you have these visible signs of anxiety and wondering, does no one else in this group of people that you've been assigned to keep any sort of timeliness? Is our trio here moving eastward, or where are you guys? Were you stopping somewhere?
As far as Brenner's understanding, no, he would be traveling at least back to the temple, if not towards where the horses would have been. He doesn't. We never made a note as to where we were supposed to reconvene.
Well,
Yeah, I think we'd probably go back to the temple, and then when we realise that none of the others are there, then go look for them.
well, you find yourselves here at the Temple of the Radiant Heart. You can arrive here and you find no one of note, no one new, no one that you're looking for, you assume.
After poking his head in briefly to the temple, he would nod back towards the eastern road. Don't believe that they're here.
Good.
Or at least I doubt they've put 6 horses in the temple.
I overheard the praetor talking about the city gate. I'm sure they're there.
Sounds like
Find them.
Yeah.
sounds like you stick your heads in and keep moving.
Correct, yeah.
I have no interest in another conversation with Walt Forbes.
You've had your fill.
Forbes out.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Fulmari. You find yourselves here. Feel free to arrange yourselves where you arrive on this map. Can all three of you roll perception, please?
$18.
And
9.
Brenner, Oswick, you notice something. A familiar-looking dryad in the crowd here, walking around, perhaps shopping.
Hold a minute. He'll take a step into the crowd. Making a beeline yet again, the second time this day, through a crowd for this nice tree lady.
He's tall, right?
Very, yes.
where's he going?
You have no idea, Gasmir. He just walked off.
Asmir looks a bit exasperated. She's collecting anger tokens.
There goes our bodyguard.
If he overhears that at all throughout this clamor, I doubt you're going to get stabbed directly outside the Temple of the Radiant Dawn. And he moves directly towards Nothing Gold, placing a hand on her shoulder if she is looking away.
Nothing Gold, you suddenly feel a hand on your shoulder. It's sudden and surprising.
She immediately looks up and then recognizes the armor and sort of brightens, and she says, "Oh, Sir Oswick. Look at this man over here. Do you recognize his robes?"
Brenner will take a look to his left, or whichever direction she's pointing at.
How exasperated are you?
Pretty exasperated.
Roll intelligence at disadvantage.
Give me 2 seconds. Never mind. Nine.
You can't quite place it. It's a black robe, but what's the significance? What is she talking about? What does any of this matter? What does this have to do with anything?
Black Robe, pressing matters. We have places to go and horses to attend to.
It's just that these people should be preparing for the attack in 3 days, don't you think, instead of cannibalizing their own?
I don't believe that they're eating their own.
Well, humans, yes.
Everyone around me today has just been speaking over my head. Can we please make it to the horses, save these 4 miners, and be back enough so we can go to bed?
You're concerned for sleep? Do you have a dream date?
I don't dream typically. I'm more concerned that if we are to be attacked by the Zentarum, that we're at our best.
Okay, you have a point, yes. I guess the best way to protect these people is to come back and ensure that we are here, so... Alright, fine.
Yes.
Did you talk to the High Priestess?
I did. She's a nice enough lady.
She's nice?
Very cordial. Cordial, sorry.
Oh. That's not often a word that I hear associated with those who pledge themselves to Steric, but she looks at Brenner. Does he seem like a good judge of character?
Brenner shrugs.
Does he seem naive? Or does he have like a world-weary air to him?
You could ask him.
Do you often find that people are nice to you?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can all four of you roll perception? This happens behind you.
16.
18.
1.
16.
In order. Gastmere. You are fairly sure you heard something from the northeast gate. Was that a shout? You heard something for sure. Brenner Oswick. Ada Worthware. Nothing gold. You hear something. A spell being cast. Somewhere close. You hear a single word. Exana. It sounds like it came from that merchant you were just studying.
Can I make an Arcana roll to try and determine what spell is being cast?
You can.
$20.
Some type of conjuration spell. You hear a commotion. People shouting, people shoving. The sounds of metal on metal.
No. Brenner pretty heavy-handedly pushes Nothing Gold out towards the exit.
Castamere is probably looking exactly in the wrong direction. It's like, huh?
You are, yes.
I would like to pull my spell book out and grasp my staff.
You do so. You can see quickly what it is. This merchant has 2 suits of animated armor. They are flanking him and keeping the crowd at a distance. He's using them as crowd control.
Can you say that again? You cut out.
My apologies. You can see what has occurred here and what has been conjured. This grim merchant is now flanked by 2 suits of animated armor. It is full plate, standing there of its own volition. He is using these as crowd control. They are blocking people from mobbing him, taking his things, or whatever people were planning to do, why ever people had such an interest in this little man. He lets out a little laugh and says, "Ha, ingenuity." He seems very pleased with himself. He's standing behind the 2 guards, which are keeping the people at bay. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Do I think he's in trouble?
You think he was in trouble until he summoned these things. Now he seems very much in command of the situation. He seems rather pleased with himself.
I will put my spellbook away and I will turn to Gasmere. Gasmere, with that Thayan shadow-weaving slug back there, would you have had my back?
Of course.
I'll put my arm on Gasmere's shoulder and I'll say, I will remember that.
Castamere lifts an eyebrow. Although I am curious, do you have history with these people?
I hope never to cross paths with the Fae. They have no respect for the art of magic. They're no more than thugs acting in a robe. I won't be bullied by a thug.
I respect that opinion. And understand it.
I will smile and then turn to the other 2 companions.
Brenner's mostly at this point just catching his breath. This is about the 4th time that he's been on high alert directly out to no alert.
Euros. You are reminded of times when you have stood on parade grounds waiting for someone, something to happen before you have to salute someone who you really don't respect very much. This reminds you of basic training after basic training.
I am going to give out a slight scream of frustration.
You do so, howling into the wilderness just outside the gate. It feels good. It echoes through the trees, and you see a few tiny passerine birds catch flight and fly away. Here on East Rose Boulevard, the merchant seems to have gained control over the situation and is now talking to people one-on-one, counseling them on something as if he's trying to refine his sales pitch. You feel like the sun is moving through the sky.
Horses. Brenner just starts to move directly towards the northern street.
I'll follow.
Smith looks around a bit, but nobody appears to be dying despite all this shouting and going on, so eventually she turns and follows the others as well.
You are content with a obvious lack of carnage, at least if there is something happening. It must be subtle. And travel northward. You find yourselves somewhere new. You see, through the gate, your companions with 6 horses. There is a sense of tension and timeliness that is... Go ahead.
As they're approaching, you can overhear Taldred, and he's like, so there I was, stark naked. And these 2 drow ladies are pissed, right? So I turned to the one with the crossbow, and some other time.
No, please keep going.
Yeah,
I love
got,
drow ladies.
We've got better things to do. We've got to get on the road now.
What time is it?
It is just about 4 p.m., you're fairly sure. Ada Worthware, you notice something about this scene. There is something here, a bastion of civilization, a signpost, something that, were you attempting to orient yourself in the wilderness, you get the impression you could study. The benefits of civilized society. The party coalesces. You are all together once again.
Does anybody know?
Finally!
Did you guys find the route to get to this mining camp?
I will point at the dirt that had the picture drawn into it.
Oh, and you plan to carry this dirt with us?
I mean, I can scoop it up.
Can you decode it for me so I can maybe remember it?
I will just point to the caretaker that gave us the direction. Just have him remind us.
Are we taking him with us?
Do you remember his name, Yoros?
No.
You transgress.
This gentleman.
You gesture toward him, and you can sense that you have offended him slightly by referring to him as this gentleman.
Taldred pipes up, yes, our good friend Carl.
He says, "Aye, that's right.
Yes, Carl.
What do you need to know?" I would have expected. Does Forbes know you haven't left yet? I think you were supposed to get on the road as soon as possible.
It is as soon as possible, and we are getting on the road. Thank you.
As you say.
As I say.
I believe Taldred has all 6 horses.
I have what now?
Bridle and don't you were yes, as Falmari is doing. You have sort of possession of the horses here. You are the one closest to this, or did you tie them back to the post? What is your relationship
Taldred
here?
would not take the initiative on these horses. I can tell you that much.
You did ask Yoros his horse background, thus perhaps making him is either of you responsible or.
I probably would have looked him over and tended to them out of sheer boredom.
You found them to be in good condition. You have a number of empty saddlebags. You realize that you have quite a bit of storage, should you need it. Carl loudly sighs, as if for dramatic effect.
I take it everyone here knows how to ride a horse. I don't have to go into training lessons today, do I?
I would not mind riding behind someone, or sharing a saddle rather. I believe we'll want one or two or a few for the miners we're to bring back anyway. And she looks around as if she's expecting the entire group to fall over themselves to volunteer to share their saddle with her.
Carl wipes his brow. I believe part of the idea is that you can have the miners ride with you on these saddles. It's big enough to accommodate 2 people. 6 of you, 6 horses, 4 miners.
It would be best to have everyone on a horse. Otherwise,
We
we just
don't
have
even know.
one horse, just kind of riding.
We don't even know if these miners are capable of holding themselves up.
If they aren't, they
We'll
won't be
figure
any
it
use
out.
to the party.
Yeah.
The others
Dual
are
horse, I guess.
figuring out the horses. Gasmir looks at Nothing Gold and says, Miss Gold, what was the nature of that missive we passed on?
Like I said earlier, it was a tracer bullet. Did she take it?
She did.
Did she say anything?
She said nothing.
And none of you looked at it?
Well,
Alright, then it should work.
Nothing
I'll let you know
Gold's-
if I hear anything back.
Miss Worthware was the one to carry it. Did you look at it?
Me? Did I look at what?
The missive you passed on to the priest.
Ah, that cryptic thing? No. I like letting people keep their secrets.
Which you're good at, Lissa, are you not?
Fabulous.
I've got a secret. We should have already been on the road.
Let's
That
do
much
it.
I
then.
agree.
Thank you.
Brenner would like to size up the sturdiest horse he can and mount it.
Roll animal handling.
21.
Brenner. Where are you? Where are you?
Am just north of Gasmere.
Gotcha.
Hell yeah.
You are now mounted. You should attempt to control this token.
That works
Wonderful.
Very clean.
You are now mounted.
As delicately as he can, tiptoe around them and wait by the signpost. As
You-
if to expect the others to mount the horse.
You do so.
Taldred approaches Euros. He's like, "Would you give me a hand getting on my horse? You know, the plate's awfully heavy."
Yeah, I got you. It feels like you Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So, would him helping me give me advantage on this?
Yeah, so you are assisting him in performing this animal handling check. Is that correct, yours?
Correct.
Okay, go.
Which would cancel out the disadvantage I have, because a flaw that Taldred has is he has disadvantage on animal handling checks.
I wasn't aware that Taldred had any flaws, but nonetheless, roll it.
I know, right? It's never come up before.
Sus.
Am I rolling 2 or just him?
Just
I mean, add a 14.
Okay, you're able to mount this horse confidently. You take your time getting up there, and you are ready to go, Taldred.
Awesome.
I'm going to approach Carl, was it?
You tell me. Have you already forgotten his name?
I was never introduced to him. I merely would have eavesdropped the name.
Yes, did you? I think you did.
I was, but I'm not certain of it.
He looks like a sweaty, grimy man who is growing sick of his station in life. You look at him, and he looks up at you, Ada Worthware.
Carl, I'm afraid you're an expert in this department.
Aye.
Can you give me a tip of advice, or maybe aid me on getting on this horse? I've never ridden one.
I can help you up.
That would be excellent. Thank you so much, Carl.
Almost offhandedly, Brenner leans towards Taldra as if he's exasperated. She does ask for help.
Taldra gives a snort.
Ada, give me animal. Go ahead.
Does anybody else need assistance with their horse?
Ada, please roll your animal handling check at advantage. Euros, you heard Nothing Gold speculating and expecting to see if anybody would want to ride on the horse with her, and she looked around rather expectantly, and I would assume now looks somewhat disappointed.
I rolled a 9.
You rolled a 9. Ada, you have a hard time getting up. Make a dexterity saving throw.
A 1 natural.
And on die 1, Ada Worthware, you fall off of the horse almost immediately and land hard on your left shoulder. Mud gets all over your blue robe. After considering this for a moment, you realize, oh, this is probably only partially mud. You try not to think too much about the details of it. Take 1 crushing damage, and far more damage to your sense of dignity and grace.
I will curse Siric's name. This is surely his fault.
Do you? You curse Siric's name into the void. Sirik, you imagine, must have had something to do with this. You curse him under your breath and feel a sense of transgression.
Nothing Gold, upon seeing this, will go, oh, and then sort of scramble over to offer a hand to Ada if she needs help getting up out of the mud.
I will accept help, but not like it.
Taldra acts like he didn't even see it. Because he assumes, he knows. I feel, yeah, he knows that Ada is like super proud. And so he's like, I didn't even see it.
A horse bucked while I was on it.
Taldred, you give her the little courtesy, the dignity of not acknowledging someone's fault.
Okay, Carl, can we try again?
He sighs and shakes his head. He is more careful helping you this time, putting both hands on your hips and helping you up in an exaggerated manner to get you on this horse. He looks overwhelmed, as if he thought that this would be a little bit easier, and this was certainly not part of his anticipated duties for the day. Ada, this will be an excellent example of one thing, which is hit point tracking takes place on the manifest rather than inside Roll20. Previously,
I've already done so.
Actually, this is also a point for the group. So previously we've done hit point tracking on the HP bar inside of Roll20. Use it on the manifest now. Just update it on there, and if it ever comes up, I'll make sure that we have the same value. Ada, you exist on a horse. You feel a bit uneasy up here. Where do you put your staff?
I'll probably awkwardly clutch it along with the reins because I don't know what to do with it.
You feel a bit unstable up here, but you're doing your best. Anyone else have a strategy for becoming more mobile? Mounting a horse, getting up on another creature?
I will look at Gasmir and Nothing Gold, and I will simply gesture towards the last remaining horses.
Gasmir isn't about to ask for assistance, unfortunately, so she will try it on her own. With determination and the same haughtiness that she's been carrying around this whole time.
I will simply stand aside.
Gasmir, you're a bit of a noble. Do you have a background with horses? Have you ridden horses before?
I'd imagine that nobles do ride horses some, yes, because it's one of those activities that they usually do. But my animal handling is pretty terrible. So I don't know. I imagine that for reasons the horses might not like Casimir. But yeah, I'd say that she does have a background, but on the other hand, the horse might not like her, so...
Casimir has a cold affect, which may make it difficult to connect with an animal. Why don't you roll it? Roll it and add a bardic inspiration die. So add 1d6 as if you're inspired.
Okay. That's actually already an 18 without the... Let's see. What's it? D8?
D6.
D6. Oh, that's 24.
You comfortably, easily, dexterously get up on this horse as if it was your calling the entire time.
She like stares at it so long that it's feeling intimidated, obviously, and stands still for her.
You cast a intimidating visage up on the back of this horse, for sure. Euros and nothing gold. Have you arrived at some type of convergence of your skills?
So I think prior to this point, Nothing Gold had her hand on Ada's horse and was sort of speaking gently to it, like, listen, she's new to the ways of the road, and we expect great things from you, and I know that you can show her how to best handle the path forward. And just sort of trying to convince him to go easy on her.
You do so, whispering a song of serenity to this noble creature, hoping that it will guide, if not your new friend, certainly someone that you have a stake together with, to safety. And yet, you remain terrestrial, Nothing Gold.
Elle, are you going to be sharing your saddle with me then? She says to Euros.
No.
Alright, your loss, and she'll go and mount the other horse that he's not standing next to.
There's only one problem, Nothing Gold. You're a bit too short to get up on this thing by yourself. Carl sees this and runs over to help you.
Thank you, Carl.
Wait, how short is she?
Small.
He helps you up onto your horse easily. He is able to handle the horse, no problem for you, and helps you get up on the saddle.
Does someone have gold for this man? She
Church
looks
of the Radiant
expectantly
Dawn.
at her compatriots.
Brenner exclaims the Church of the Radiant Dawn, and looking directly at Carl as if this was obvious.
He looks at you with a head tilt. He's not sure what you're implying.
You've been paid, yes?
Sir Oswig, do you expect
Aye.
piety to feed him?
Piety of all things will feed no one.
We very recently had a discussion on how the temples are collecting money. So I'm sure the temple has the coin to spare for this man.
Are we all saying that we have no coin? Is that what you're telling me right now?
The economy's in shambles.
Carl,
I'm
were you
saying-
paid?
I am not asking if he was paid. I am asking if we might reward him for the kindness that he is showing us. Is that not what you humans do? To encourage further kindness?
What do you mean, you humans?
She just gestures to all of herself.
He's just doing his job.
Are you just doing your job?
Yes,
He was kinder to me than you were.
I
I'd
know.
argue that we are not doing our jobs currently because we are not on our way.
With
I'm
this
gonna
much
get on
I
my
agree.
horse.
If you wish to pay the man, then you can. Fellow
Nothing gold.
human.
Nothing gold, your heart's in the right place, but I'm afraid I'm broke.
I'm afraid to say the same, and thus, Carl, we will owe you. Please remember that.
He looks a bit put off by all of this, as if this was not what he was expecting whatsoever. But he gives you a cursory bow, as if it's the first bow he's ever given in his life. You can tell he's doing his best to keep up with social norms here. You think he probably mostly sees horses, not people.
So let's go. Excellent. Yeah. Come on. Giddy up.
Yoros, are you attempting to mount this horse?
Yeah, I was trying to do so when she was talking to Carl.
I apologize. Describe your methodology if it's anything other than I just get up on the horse.
It is a standard, trained mounting of a horse.
In your
There is no flair to it.
in your past with the Flaming Fist, were you ever trained on riding a horse in combat? Have you ever quickly mounted a horse as a part of your training?
Yes.
Let's do this animal handling at advantage then. You have no problems. Please make sure the 6 of you can use your tokens. Make sure these horse tokens work. Check them for me.
She
Wonderful.
spins her horse in a circle.
You do so. You all do this in character. You test the limits of your horse handling. You make sure that the reins are attached. If you are a novice to this, you are not sure what to check, but you lead your horse in small circles around this T intersection, seeing just to ensure that you have control over this creature. You are now all mounted. Again, the afternoon is slowly passing. Where do you go? What do you do? Riding somewhere?
Take it you know the directions, yes? Taldred.
So
Do you
Talbot
feel-
saw the map, right? And he had the conversation. Did he say anything, other than head north, go past the what's it called, the way station?
He did not. He offered little other than what you just described. And
Yeah.
what you... Good.
So Taldred reciprocates that to the group.
You
There's a
feel
way
comfortable
station.
leading?
We on a horse. I mean, I'm so heavy, and the horse will have trouble being at the front. Probably, someone else should probably take the. Yoro seems to be fantastic on a horse.
Brenner spins the horse around. He's spent half his life in one horseback. Heavy's not a problem. I'll lead if you want. Take the rear.
Sure.
Is there a quorum on that?
Nope. Taldred is happy to do it.
Brenner's making sure that the two people in heavy plate armor are at the front and the back.
Does anyone offer any finer points to this strategy? Or I will need someone to be in front. It sounds like that person is currently, I'm being tentatively offered that it is Brenner Oswick. Does anyone object? Is anyone offering a different strategy? Do I take it to understand that you're riding north on this road?
That is my understanding from the directions given from my party, yes.
Okay.
Good to me as well. My character wouldn't know it, but obviously horses usually just follow like the lead horse. So as long as the lead horse knows what it's doing, all the rest of the horses are just going to follow that one. So
I will make sure I'm in the middle so we have good spacing.
Why don't we do this? We're going to move map tiles. We're going to take our fiver, and then we're going to set up a marching order, and we'll have whoever's in front roll D100 for no reason in particular, I'm sure.
ooh.
Spicy.
Spicy
I was
indeed.
thinking that.
I'm not trying to sound that way necessarily.
We're about to transgress.
You've already transgressed twice.
Sort of.
The world is black and white in some respects. Okay, I'm going to take a $5. I'll be back in a little bit.
Sounds good.
Okay, hi.
Hello.
You'll have to look into the nameplates not appearing because like everything here has a nameplate and it's not showing up.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you did the last time. We had the same problem, but there was like a, I think a toggle you hit and it fixed it immediately.
I remember, yes, but I don't know what or where that is, or like I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not familiar enough with the background of Roll20 to tell you. Apparently, it's under the token next to the general marking. There should be a 3-dot drop down, and then it should just be player permission C. According to the internet.
3 dots. Oh, that's for the token bar. Yeah, I know what you're talking. That's for the token bars. Don't worry, it's not a big deal. I'll futz with it before next week. Actually, how about no? I don't think you can see it. I can test it myself. Actually, I have a second Roll20.
Clever use of the Roll20 mechanics with these tokens.
Thank you. There were lots of ways to do this. I think this is, believe it or not, the most elegant. Other alternatives while we're here waiting. Have a single horse represent the party. I don't like that. It takes away people's autonomy. I have long horse versions where it's 10 by 5 instead of 10 by 10, but they don't look right, and it looks very awkward if you have two people on it. It's hard to tell what's a horse, what's not a horse.
Sorry, Mir.
This definitely gives us more of an opportunity to horse around.
Don't push your luck, Dave. Okay, you see that river? We could have just pushed you down the river and hopefully.
I say nay.
What are we gonna do with Dave, guys? Okay, are we good?
Evisceration.
Are we good to resume? Everyone feeling spry? Everyone got any last minute questions before we resume? Feeling good? Okay,
I'm good.
let's do it. So first, set a marching order here on the road.
From left to right.
From bottom to top. So the bottom of the... Are you looking at this map? Are we on the right map? No, we're not on the right map. There we go.
We're still on the Carl map. Okay.
There you go, there you go, there you go. You find yourselves here at the edge of Arabel. Here, the road ventures northward, following a river. The farther you follow this road, the farther you get up into the mountains. So 2 things. First, it will take 3 hours to navigate this portion of the road and river, assuming good conditions. So first, I believe I have Brenner here in front. Can you roll D100, please?
$19.
Thank you, Brenner.
What does the sky look like in terms of weather and wind conditions?
Wonderful question, Nothing Gold. You are here parallel to this river that flows down toward Arabelle and the Sea of Stars. As you're close to the river, the air is rather chilly, about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. It's very humid here, and as you get farther away from the river, it dries up a bit. It is getting to be late afternoon here. The sun is out, however, it does little to warm you. It's really getting rather late in the year now, and you have to seek out the warmth of the afternoon when you can get it, and now you can't really get it. The sky itself is clear. You can see the sun. You can see Selune, the moon, distantly near the horizon. Studying the trees, you observe that near Arabelle, it is mostly larches and deciduous trees that grow in the marshlands here. As you go down this road, it's more conifers as you get up into the mountains.
So Arabelle is in swampland, essentially?
No, Arabelle's not. No, it's in a river valley, right?
Okay.
And this area here next to the river is bog-like, right? So there is some marsh and some river delta here, and the closer you get to the river, you find pools of mud and fallen autumn leaves. So some questions about how you navigate this area. There may be points of interest, there may be shortcuts, there may be varying ways that you navigate this. All other factors being equal, it'll take you 3 hours to get here, 3 hours to get through here, given good conditions. But feel free to navigate it however you see fit. There are multiple exits to this zone. Take them however you see it. But it'll take you 3 hours to get here. Stop and look at anything you want.
Brenner's notion is the people behind him are not particularly well versed in being on horseback, so he's sticking to the road as much as he can.
No shortcuts, eh?
I will follow Brenner closely, mostly focused on keeping myself not in the dirt.
Go ahead and take your move, Brenner. As you see fit. Feel free to stop and talk to the party or whatever you'd like to do.
Actually, now that they're away from earshot, well, they're out of the town, I should say, and it doesn't look like there's anyone around, right?
Roll perception.
Okay.
You don't see anybody around.
Sounds good to me. Taldred begins his spiel. I'm trying to think if I want to try and shorthand this or. He's gonna kind of. Would you say this road's long enough for him to ride side by side everyone else?
You could. There are areas. There are areas in which it narrows, like on the bridge here, where you might have to go in a single line. But for the most part, yes, you could ride next to somebody and talk to them, for example.
Okay, Taldred's gonna say. So, while we're out and about, it's not best to let people know that we're working with the Church of the is it Radiant Dawn?
The Temple
Radiant
of the
Heart.
Radiant Hearts. Yes.
Temple of the Radiant Heart. Right. And I've been moving around in places where do-gooding isn't generally looked upon well. So, years back, I created a mercenary company, or a shell of a mercenary company. And I have documentation for everybody here. Uh, yes, you. If anybody asks, we're with Griffin Company. All right. Show them our documents. Tell them we're mercenaries minding our own goddamn business, and suggest they do the same.
I'm not one to lie. I'm a captain of my own mercenary company. Just fall under the banner of Oswald. If
Are you-
anyone recognizes me, I would not be under the Griffin Company. And a man wearing the armor that I am, no one would believe it.
And this lad's from the Flaming Fist.
I mean, you could be on loan. Taldred kind of trails off. He's like, if you think it's a bust, that's fine. If Mr. Oswick wants us to, or wants to claim ownership of this little ordeal we're doing, that's fine by me.
Everybody,
Any objections?
just to cut in for 1 second with a check. If you are mystified by this discussion, feel free to roll history and let me know if you get greater than 12. Is that a 23, nothing gold, and
Yes.
a 6, Gasmer? Gasmer, you can't place this. You're not sure what's being referenced or why you would need to be under a flag. You're not shipping goods here. You're not getting on a ship. You know, what exactly is being discussed? Nothing gold, you've heard something. You know that in the nation of Cormyr, if this is even still considered the nation of Cormyr, adventuring groups have to be licensed. You can't just be walking around carrying weapons in most pockets of civilization. At the very least, people need to know who you are. That's what Taldred is referencing. The ability to authoritatively state, this is who I am, and I am licensed by someone somewhere to operate.
Is it truly advantageous to be known as people who are wielding swords? Do we want to
Yes.
present ourselves as people who fight and not, say, merchants or artists?
Merchants dressed like this.
Hmm. Well, that seems like a you problem.
You see a lot of dryad merchants?
Where I'm from, yes.
Is this where you're from?
That's an exceedingly rude question to ask, isn't it?
I don't see how, but to my point, if this isn't where you're from and dryad merchants aren't normal, that would still probably draw a tad bit of suspicion.
Attention is exactly what you want when you're in a merchant, but I don't have a better proposition, so I suppose this is fine.
Any other objections to falling under the banner of Oswick? As he waves his hand as if this is a
What are you known for?
killing.
Who have you killed
Holy
that we should be
fuck.
proud of killing?
A lot of bad people.
Like who? Name one. She says this very earnestly, like, yes, I'm prepared to play this role, but you need to give me information so that I can make up convincing bullshit on the fly.
Brenner raises his visor in this conversation, stops his horse in front of the entire party, reaches into his pack and pulls out a leather-bound volume. I can read you one half of this or the other half. The people that have fallen under my banner or the people that fell to my blade.
Whichever you're more proud of.
I'm not proud of either of them. He reaches to the back of the book and starts to read as if from the back page. name after name after name that I'm not gonna just list off at this point. But it is obvious that he has documented all of these, and he is not lying.
Castmere eventually cuts in around the fifth name and says, "This seems like a strange time to be on an ego trip. Are we not busy? Should we not be heading onwards?
I would
If
tend
you
to
insist
agree.
on this banner thing, then yes. Let's carry on."
Brenner clasps the book and places it back into his bag. At least we're in agreement.
Whatever lie you fellows want to tell, I'll just repeat it.
Is there anyone who would have an issue with your mercenary company? Any known enemies?
Enough people.
I'm sure we'll find them if we find them.
I made enough allies and I made enough enemies. Two sides of the same coin, am I wrong?
Above you,
Better than nothing.
a asymmetric V of geese flies southward over your head.
I don't think this should be necessary, but I don't know about you folks, but I'm recognizable. I'm somewhat of renown. A mercenary company may not be the subterfuge you're looking for.
I believe we're all of
You
some
can-
renown, considering that we were sent on this mission.
Agreed.
People can be on retainer for a mercenary company. It's not that big of a deal.
Some guards don't get out a whole lot. Makes checkpoints easier.
Whatever lie you want to tell, I will go along with. However, this will obviously not hold up to any amount of scrutiny.
It'll hold up to some scrutiny. And most guards don't give a whole lot.
You're the expert.
Brenner turns the horse back around and leads on.
Are you ashamed of the Paladin of Radiant Hearts?
They're directed towards Brenner.
In general, she's asking the people around her.
They're
Not ashamed
trying
of
to
the paladin.
save the world.
I have no shame for the men to follow under that temple or whatever. I have more shame for why they do.
Sorry, you cut out a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. He said, I have no shame for the people that follow that temple, but he has shame for why they do.
As you pass through the northwest hook of this path, you hear an owl hooting from high up on the cliffs.
I'm going to say, at least we don't expect to see Maris here.
Who?
I'll smile wryly at Nothing Gold.
This flies directly over Brenner's head.
Same.
It's a little early for owls, isn't it?
It's getting late, right?
Roll
Probably
nature.
the evening.
Roll nature, nothing gold. It's not quite dusk yet, Ada.
10.
You surmise that it could be a little bit early, but it's also getting late in the year, late in the day. It's not that out of place.
We actually see the deer that's wandering around on the map as well.
If you look there.
Does it look like a regular deer? It doesn't have any of those horror features in our zombie deer.
Nothing obviously horrifying about it. It gives you no immediate sense of dread, Gasmir. From what you can tell, it is a authentic ungulate, just a regular deer.
Okay. Good, good.
Can I ask, what is this thing on the just east of Brenner?
It's a signpost. You'd have to get closer to study it. Just let me know if you do.
I'll take a cursory glance over it.
What languages do you speak?
Human and Dwarven. Or, sorry, Common and Dwarven.
You can sound it out. It says, Atanwe no le. You have no idea what this means. There is a silhouette of a person carved into the sign. Roll intelligence.
$15.
The silhouette of the person seems designed to accentuate one of their features. They're holding a longbow. The writing means nothing to you.
Brenner looks back to Ada. Can you make it out?
Do I know the language? Is it Elven?
Do you speak Elven?
I do.
It is Elven. It reads, Atanwe no le. Sniper at work.
There's a sniper guarding these roads. If I'm not mistaken, we're close to Elven Woods. I imagine the lands outlaying the King's Forest are guarded by elves.
Do we expect trouble from that front?
In a word, yes. I imagine an armed company coming through their lands, we're close to the Dale lands here, are not welcome. Can I roll history to back that up after I say it?
Of course.
Or a safe passage somehow.
I'm going to say it confidently, but not be confident.
Go ahead and roll the history.
Can anyone else roll history to see if they remember anything pertinent about this?
16.
Ada, you feel like your deduction is well versed in the political reality of the situation in the Dale lands. Gastmere, you have the baton. I'm sorry.
Can I roll history as well? Does Gasmir have a chance to know anything about this?
Absolutely. What exactly are you attempting to plumb the depths of your mind for?
I guess probably try to think like, is there some kind of etiquette for dealing with this? Do we just keep going until we run into somebody, or do they shoot without asking questions or something like that?
Roll history.
26.
And a 20 on die.
Yeah.
You search for the etiquette for this situation. You get the impression that the verbiage on this sign, once it is conveyed to the party, suggests to you that there would probably not be too much of a discussion if you ventured into the wrong person's backyard, so to speak. You get you know quite well, given your command of history of this region, that these lands have long been fought over, and for many years were considered border counties. And anyone who remains here tends to be fiercely territorial, be it elves, men, and there are rumors that there are even people living below the surface in this area.
They usually mark their backyards with something other than just this one sign. Do you think we'll find more of these that will be marking their territory?
You are not sure about that part of it.
Guess we'll find out.
You turn this over in your head.
Maybe I should take the lead, and I will thrust my cloak backward and pull back my hair, exposing my ears.
If you feel comfortable enough leading, then do so.
Of course I do.
Of course you do. This feels very natural to you, doesn't it? Does Brenner...
20 years?
Ada does. She does have pointy ears. Brenner Oswick, there is a coup happening within the party here. Do you assent to this?
He's fine with it. He's taken the horse off the road to let her pass.
Ada, you've got the lead.
As I pass Brenner, I'm going to say, I'm still going to need help with this creature.
I assumed as much.
Not too loudly, though.
You continue riding east, it appears.
Yes, which we don't have an option to go north yet. Is that correct?
You observe that you could follow. You glance down the river. You could go parallel to the river. It doesn't look that marshy. It looks like you could. It looks certainly like it could be passable.
Yoros, Aldred, which direction do you recommend we head?
What does the sign say? Does it say that there's a path that leads north? This is out of character.
Looks like there's a footpath.
That is correct. Yes. So there is a. It appears that traffic of some kind has followed this here. There is like a goat path type thing. The sign makes no promises for security. This is a trail. Nothing like that. It only has 3 words.
That doesn't sound like what the guy told us about, because he said there was like a way station and stuff, which makes me think it's a more traveled road than what's on offer here. So Taldred would say, no, this is not what we're looking for.
So to the east, then.
Until we can break north.
That was what we were told by Carl.
Then I will head that direction.
Do the horses seem to have any impulse about which road they would rather follow?
Excellent question. These horses do not seem accustomed to this route, as if, for example, if they had done this route thousands of times, they were simply following their previous footsteps.
Okay.
Ada, I'll take a D100.
95.
Noted.
As a question, how's the construction of this bridge look? Maintained by any means, or is it weather rotten?
It looks well maintained. I need one moment here, so talk amongst yourselves if you see fit.
Ada just gets off her horse and leaves.
I wanted
finally
to take
can't
the
push
goat
her to the
trail.
water.
Yeah.
I think Gasmir will probably also share what she was thinking about the elves and all that.
Let's hear it.
Might be. Might wish to be careful and look for more signs on where we shouldn't be straying.
So it's best in this case for Ada to lead then, yes.
Yes, this area has a history of conflict.
Carl didn't mention
Tempers may
anything
run
about
hot.
that.
Yes, that is quite curious. Are we quite
take a
sure
wrong
that we are
turn.
on the... Yes, are we on the right road?
As best as he told us.
These roads do look very well maintained. I don't see any signs of skirmishes here, so I imagine if we keep to them, we should be fine.
Well spoken by someone who used to dwell underneath a bridge.
She blushes.
That's a compliment.
Wait, what does it look? What does it look like when a dryad blushes?
Like a rose blooming.
Yeah, I imagine like some of the greenery sort of gets more vibrant. And she has these like pale green veins that sort of get called attention to more.
You pass through the wilderness. You approach something. This road stretches north through the prairies of the North Country. As you approach a curve in the road here, you realize that you're very close to what must be the way station. It appears to you as a small inn, if you can even call it that, set just barely off the side of the road. There is a mural painted on the side of the inn.
What's the mural of?
As you approach here, you should see this now. You realize how late it must be in the day. The sun has just set over the mountains. It's probably about 8 p.m. now. The mural, it is a beheaded dragon with a mismatching X for each eye. The head is large, and the body is poorly proportioned. You may be able to gain more information by studying it closer.
What color is the dragon?
Red. Roll intelligence.
Me?
You.
God damn it. 4.
Yes, it's red.
Nothing gold would definitely slow a little bit to study it closer. Is there any kind of signature or maker's mark here?
You can discern quite a bit. Nothing gold. It's red acrylic paint, the kind that you would use to protect against rust, not the tools of an artist. The composition is crude. Your eyes follow the lines of the dragon. Its wings and head are smushed toward the top. You infer that the painter was limited by the size of their ladder. The brush strokes evoke a sense of anger in you, Nothing Gold. You consider the facts. This has the paint of a workman, but the brushwork of a madman. Up here in the mountains, there's more rocks in the stream, and the road is steeper. The brook babbles here. It is no longer quiet. You hear the constant sound of flowing water. From inside the tavern, you hear the clinks of glass on something. It sounds like there's a non-zero amount of people there, and from within, you can see the glow of light.
Taldred will approach Brenner and say, should we stop for the night?
Travel by night is generally ill-advised. I wouldn't mind stopping, but we are on a tight time schedule.
Should we stop here?
From my understanding, this is the only place that we would stop, unless you wish to camp out in the woods.
That might be better than a way station that's an easy target.
Brenner eyes over Ada and Gasmir.
I
Do
will
you think we're
respond
fit?
by casting light on my staff.
You
It merely arches an eyebrow.
cast light on your staff. Your staff glows with light just in time to catch Gastmere arching her eyebrow.
We're on a mission, folks. They wouldn't have sent us here if it was easy.
You're not muted?
Muted?
Yeah. You can still use magic.
Yeah, you can't.
I can, but why can you?
What? Ah, only questions and no answers, I see.
I already answered this.
I have my ways. I studied for many years to overcome this deficiency.
Really?
Really?
Really. I am a professor of the magical arts. I wouldn't be much of a professor if I couldn't practice them.
I'm sure there's plenty of professors for the magical arts who still can't reach the weave.
Yeah. Coxswains, Fletchers. That's what
So-
they're doing right now.
You're the real deal then.
I wasn't called to this task because I am toothless. None of us here are toothless.
They only sent the best.
They only sent the best. And I don't
Yeah.
fail.
Well, I feel better then.
I just have some concerns, she says very hypocritically, about the visibility of such things. I don't know if you realized this in the marketplace that we passed as we rode out of here, but people are very desperate for anything that could give them magic or restore it to them.
People are desperate for everything in these times.
So I would, if you could, say that it is powered by what's that crude, ugly stuff that they're pulling from out of the ground?
Coal.
I was
Yes.
gonna say orcs.
Orcs?
Taldridge shrugs.
No, I think coal will work.
Okay.
Can you make it look not so magical? I have this powder that I use to.
I can focus it at the tip. That might help. It might make it look torch-like. Can I mold this light cantrip so that it appears only at the top of my staff?
You can. It sounds like you are attempting to make this resemble almost like this candle. So
Yeah.
it if you project the light from the end, exactly. But if you had an artificial simulacrum of that, right? You'd want to have the flame glow in order to make it appear like a torch. That's what you're doing.
I also have the cantrip prestidigitation. So I imagine I can form something that, at a long distance, functions as a minor illusion. For I have a candle on top of my stick.
Absolutely, you can.
You're of the opinion that we should march on through the night.
Carl said it was 3 hours. It's been more than 3 hours. I imagine we're close. Why don't we stop here on the way back if we feel the necessity?
From my understanding, it's 6 hours in total. 6 there, 6 back. Correct?
Yes, that's what Carl told us.
I believe
3
he said it was
hours
6 at night.
So-
Everybody involved in this argument roll intelligence.
You guys are fucked. 22?
12.
18.
Nothing gold. You're now party to this argument.
1.
What? Taldric Talden
Nat 1.
on die. You are fairly sure that Carl told you it's 3 hours. You remember this number coming up multiple times. You know he said several times, and you bullshitted with him while you were sitting there for almost an hour waiting for the party. You heard
these
3
guys.
hours, 3 hours, 3 hours. You know it's 3 hours to Garden Reach. What else would it be? Ada, you are fairly sure that it's already been longer than 3 hours. If that was the correct duration, something is off. Nothing gold. You have mostly overheard this argument. You come to think, I don't know, it feels like there's some type of timing discrepancy to what is being offered to you. You remember something to do with 3 hours, but there must have been some type of modifier, some type of conditional, something that made this make sense. Brent Roswick, what was your intelligence roll?
12.
A 12. You're not sure. You are listening to all these people arguing around you and offering their opinions, and it all sounds about right. 3 hours? 6 hours? At night? During the day? I don't know. It all feels like it's within the realm of reasonability. But you'll have to make a decision.
Casmir is just looking at everyone involved in this argument as if they all rolled that natural one.
How's the condition of the horses? Are they tired?
They seem relatively okay. You could stand to water them, but you know that this road seems to follow the river. So should you choose to give the horses a bit of a water break, you would have the ability to do so. They seem well fed, and you know that at least some of the saddlebags have a couple small bales of straw that you could feed them if you absolutely had to.
So Taldred is going to kind of side up to Brenner and he's going to say, I'll be honest, I am merely acceptable on a horse in the daytime at my best. I don't know how I'll do at night.
Do you want me to make a stand then?
I trust you above anybody in this on this.
Brenner hops off of his horse.
You do so. Your boots land on Thrill.
We rest. We ask them if we're on the right road. We take a drink. See how it goes.
Don't talk too much.
Are you sure that's wise?
Traveling
Less
at night
talk.
with low visibility, with people unaccustomed to horses, is less wise than staying in an inn. There's no need for you to fish you out of a river and put down a second horse for this week. Brenner leads his horse gingerly to the high post, which I assume is outside.
Yes, there's also, if you can see it around the back of this small structure, there are several troughs with tepid water with bits of straw floating in it.
Is dismounting a given?
Say that again?
Is dismounting the horses a given? Like, we can just say we do it.
Yes, you can just say there is a. May I answer that question across the table for you? There will not be. So many roles in this campaign will govern a subset of actions or a sort of continuous line of actions. So, for example, every time you get on the horse, we're not going to roll a fresh animal handling. You might roll 1 or 2 for the duration of the day or something like that. So your animal handling concerns have already been. You can hop off the horse. You're feeling good, Taldred.
Excellent. Taldred will do that, and he'll follow exactly what Brenner did with his horse.
Ada, you sense dissension in the ranks as you hear people hopping off their horse and their boots landing in the mud.
I will canter back to the group and voice my complaints as I dismount my horse. This inaction? Do we just want to drink or what? We have a job to do. There is somebody coming to attack the town as I'm dismounting and tying up my horse.
We leave at the break of dawn. I will wake you. If you do not wake, I will force you out of your beds. We will be on our horses in the morning. We will break whatever bread we can, and we'll be at the mines 3 hours from now.
We better leave at the break of daybreak, no later.
It is currently, everyone is able to assess this without any type of checks. This is merely your ability to infer things with time. It is currently 8 p.m. on September 1st. You know you must be back in Arabel by daybreak on September 3rd. Plan your time accordingly.
Taldred tries to placate Ada. He like comes up to her side and he's using a low voice and he's like, "We're not all of us are as gifted and driven and as skilled as you are at maintaining the horse in the dark of night, even with the aid of light. I think this is the better deal."
I'll look at Taldred and I'll say, "Of course you're right. I'm just frustrated. I want to get it done with."
I think we all are. I don't want the Zent to reach Arabel before we do either.
I'll extinguish my light spell.
You do so. Once again, you're engulfed by darkness. The crickets in the night seem louder in the dark.
Taldred heads inside.
Do you?
He does.
Brenner will follow suit, ensuring everybody else is off their... Once the horses are tied up, anyway. If no one knows how to tie the horse.
Yeah, Gastler gets off her horse as well. Gets off her high horse physically, but never emotionally.
You remain on your high horse emotionally.
I will begrudgingly dismount as well.
It seems we have a quorum. Is that correct? Is everybody doing this?
I would like to use my mage hand to tie up my horse, because I'm not very good at knots.
You do so. Describe your mage hand, Ada.
I will use my mage hand. It's going to be a regular hand, thin, has well-kept nails, and I'm going to use it to tie a knot like an amateur would when they're uncertain if the knot will stay. Way too many loops. It's very Gordian in nature.
When she's casting this, she's using like a. She's using spell words and like the staff seems to be her focus kind of thing. Like she's casting.
I will grasp my
normally.
book at my side while I cast every time, if you notice.
If I notice, I can roll for that. I probably won't notice for a fucking thing.
It sounds like you notice. I think that this is something. Here's how I would look at this. It feels like you are actively noticing this, and if you're actively noticing it out of character, I think it's reasonable to say I actively notice that in character.
She has a
Yeah.
leathery bound, vile-looking tome at her side, overflowing with pages, and with writing you can't understand on the outside. She touches
see
it every time she channels through it.
Looked like it was bound in human flesh, or
You can't tell, but that would be a decent guess. Some sort of
It's-
flesh.
like that book in Evil Dead.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
Necronomicon.
Necronomicon, yeah.
Okay.
Klaatu, Verata.
It was
Necktie.
definitely an N-word.
Okay. Well, Gasmir observes this, and she will remember this.
One moment on my end. Feel free to confer amongst yourselves while I fix tokens.
I will point out that by staying the night here, I think we're resigning ourselves to riding through the night on the day back before the battle we're expecting to have with the Zent. It does not seem tactically like the best use of our time.
Counterpoint, though, we started writing late in the day today. Tomorrow, as Mr. Oswick said, we'll be able to get up at dawn, make our way to the town, and make our way back with far more daylight.
Are you expecting to find no trouble at the mines?
No,
No.
everything's
You
perfectly
did
fine.
get that. You did get that map of the mines, by the way, right?
Map of what now?
The map. You did speak to Devon, right?
We went to get the horses.
And speak to Devon, right?
Devin who?
You
The
you see a man from you see a man from inside the way station peeking his head over as you have this conversation.
Brenner is physically grasping his nose. His thighs are lifted.
You can as a group, I think, have opened the door, and you can peer into this very small room. This appears to be a 1 or 2 room affair. There's a table with some in full disrepair wooden chairs around it. There are beds here. There's 3 sets of triple bunk beds. They are perhaps used by laborers passing through here. This is barely better than sleeping on the ground, if better at all. There is a man peering over with a sense of strange curiosity. He has a thick, gingery beard, and he's looking over with a sense of trepidation.
Evening.
Good evening. I suppose. Decent evening. Hello.
I take it we're crowding into the way station.
It's going to be crowded if you crowd in here.
Oh, I'm crowding.
As you pass through that main portal, you can see a woman wearing glasses looking at you from a back room. She's washing her hands, and she looks over.
Have I seen glasses before?
You have.
Have I
A-
seen glasses before the spell plague, or is it the development of like the pre-industrialized society we're in?
A wonderful question that you've already answered. Yes, in In a world where everybody can cast light, well, not everybody, in a world where divination magic is more broadly available, the machining technology necessary to produce something specialized like eyeglasses has less of an effect. Now, something like that is life changing for somebody. So it's a recent invention, but one nonetheless. Something you'd expect to find on somebody who's a little bit more well off. But nonetheless, you see this. This woman is in fact wearing eyeglasses, and she straightens them out, almost with a sense of pride as she eyes you up. Welcome, she says, perhaps with a sense of unexpected visitors about her.
Hello,
Hello?
I'm Ada. What are you called?
What am I? My name is Sarah. Thank you for coming to visit me.
Sarah, good to meet you.
She seems a bit overwhelmed by this, as if your presence was not expected. It's good to meet you too. Are you bandits?
Not at all.
Do we look like bandits?
Yes.
Says from the behind as she pushes in.
Yes.
Even me?
She looks you up and down. You don't have a weapon, but you're in rather menacing looking plate. She says, yeah, probably.
You've seen a bandit this handsome, really?
She laughs. How disarming.
We're in.
She snorts. Okay then. You're in. Are you You're staying in my common house tonight? Is that what's going on?
That's our hope.
We would like to, ma'am, please.
As you wish. 2 silver for a bed. There's 8 left.
Rummages around through his pocket.
You have.
Produces the functional amount, yeah.
We have enough.
You can scare up 12 silver between the 6 of you, regardless of your financial misgivings with each other.
I saw that mural outside. Who did that?
She straightens up her back. I'm not sure I like your tone. What do you mean you saw this mural out back? Why'd you say it like that?
I thought it was very striking, and I'm sorry. I don't know how else to sound.
Roll insight, nothing gold.
Seven.
There's something touchy here, but you can't put your finger on it. Roll intelligence, actually.
13.
There has long been conflict in the Dales that it centers around unbridgeable political divides. The rural versus the urban. Elves versus men. Nothing gold. You know that most art is political.
Obviously, you can tell that I'm new to these lands, and I'm just not familiar with the imagery or the techniques. Frankly, art is something that I love very much, so I thought it would be interesting to talk about it.
Something you love very much. What's that mean?
Can I barge in?
No.
It's that.
She immediately stomps on Nervous's foot if he tries to open his mouth to say anything. And she says, well, it's, a bard has a very close connection to his instrument, and all people feel some sort of way about music. I feel the same way about art. It's, there's a story that's sort of encoded in the paint, and it's a language that I wish to speak better, that's all.
Roll persuasion. Euros, you feel as you attempt to barge, a little foot steps on yours. You have armored boots. This doesn't do much to you, but you certainly get the memo. Do you allow yourself to be stopped by a 4/9 dryad?
I don't know anything about art, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just step away with my arms up.
I rolled a 5 on persuasion.
Sarah pushes her glasses up the bridge of her nose. The only thing you need to know is that my husband painted it. I'll take that silver now. And she does. I don't have much to eat, just some green peanuts, hay for your horses if they need it. Hopefully you brought your own provisions.
There was a farm outside, right? How did it look?
You're asking Sarah or me? Me.
Sorry, you.
You-
Like,
okay, yeah,
did we
I
notice
understand.
anything?
You saw just outside of the inn here, there was a field of furrowed land. It seems like it's probably being prepped to be planted again in the spring, but is currently fallow.
How many entrances to this building?
One. And if you step inside here, we still got some people in the doorway, it is rather cramped. This is a small enclosed space. There's a fire roaring, keeping this almost unpleasantly warm in here, Taldred. You feel like you'd be sweaty if you had to sleep in here.
Mm-hmm.
I will regard the husband, or who I assume to be the husband.
You make that assumption.
I'll make eye contact with him.
He looks at you. He appears to be in good spirits.
And what should I call you?
He looks a bit taken aback. You all were talking to me a moment ago. My name's Devin.
Devin. Good to meet you. I'm Ada. I didn't catch your name. I apologize.
I'm sorry, your name's Devin?
Yes.
Are you affiliated with the mine to the north?
Yes. I work for Cole Cormier.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Brenner, yeah. Brenner takes a seat in front of the table.
See, we got you there.
You're miners?
Friends of miners.
I can.
Brenner sets his pack on the ground and begins to rummage around for an iron ration, setting it on the table.
Friends of Miners is a good group. I know that they do a lot of activism and organizing. Wives of Miners is another good one. Political activism is important up here in the mountains. Is that why you're here?
I'm not so certain that we're here for specifically political reason. We've heard that those under the employ of the mine are currently in danger. Have you not heard of this?
He shuts up immediately. He trails off and looks down at his drink. I don't know what you heard.
Insight. Taldred's doing insight.
Feel free.
Dirty 20. What's do I feel like he's like hiding something, trying to shift the subject, knows more than he's letting on?
You feel that he certainly knows more than he's letting on and is doing a very poor job of shrouding that. You get the impression, using your ability to determine the true nature of human interactions, that perhaps you came on a bit strong and now he's worried about showing too much of his hand.
Taldred interjects. He goes, "I am so sorry. Some of our company are very forward. I hope we didn't make you uncomfortable."
This man looks like his default state with the world is anxious and uncomfortable, so it doesn't take much. But he nods. Okay.
We are on our way north because we heard the miners needed a hand. We are headed up there for that reason.
Roll persuasion.
Don't mind if I do.
Euros, are you enjoying your? Are you in solitude on the outside? Are you pensively walking around?
Yes, just pensively walking around and looking around.
24 persuasion.
Euros, roll perception. Taldred Talton, you feel a sense of oneness with Devon. Well, yes, there was probably an incident, and I heard that, well,
We haven't heard much of anything, so any insight you have would be very welcome.
well, I'll tell you everything I know, but it's not much. I'd have to caution you.
That's quite all right.
We sent, by we, I mean Cole Cormier, my company, we sent miners up there 2 weeks ago. They should be returning with their whole entourage, the miners and the support personnel, on that 2 week schedule. No one came back. I have the names of the miners. I know a lot about the mine itself, but I can't tell you where they went or why they haven't reported back.
I assume you couldn't spare someone to investigate either.
Not just that, but where you are right now is about the limit of civilization here in this realm, in this bit of the world.
I guess we're the ones who are being sent to investigate then.
It seems that that's the case.
All right then.
He folds his hands. How strange that I should run into you lot here.
Not necessarily. They told us to stop at the way station here and talk to Devon, so I just didn't realize you were going to be that abreast of the situation.
Well, anything I can share with you, I'd be happy to. I don't know much more than what I've already told you. And I'm not sure the other information I have, like the statistics of the mine, the names of the miners, I'm not sure that any of that would really help you if you're simply here to retrieve them. Between you and me, I suspect this may be the retrieval of bodies. Mining's dangerous work. We don't know what happened down there.
Well, I hope it's not that, and we will do our best to ensure that that's not the case. Do you know the layout of the mine, perchance?
More or less. I don't have a diagram, but I could sketch something for you.
That would be incredibly helpful with the recovery effort.
And Gasmir, you were saying?
Gasmir adds that a list of their names and some manner of crude descriptions may be helpful. If we are retrieving bodies, then we can compare those descriptions to the bodies.
It's grim work, but sure, I'd be more than happy to facilitate that. You're staying the night?
It appears we are.
Then I'll have it for you before you leave in the morning.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Anything I can do. You're contributing to my end of year bonus, so please do your best.
Have you had any more traffic through here?
No more than usual. You may see people on the road if that's what you're asking. It's not abnormal to see merchants coming through here, or certainly many people live up here in the mountains.
Merchants heading where?
To Arabel, mostly.
I apologize. From where, then?
There's not much up here in the mountains other than where people live, but sometimes traffic through Evening Star will pass up this way. It's not entirely out of the ordinary for longer journeys to use this road. You feel like your question should have resulted in a simpler answer, and you're not sure why he waited so long to mention that bit about his bonus.
Yeah. Aldrich says, well, it's a little bit warm in here. I'm going to step outside.
There's sweat on your brow, Taldred. Stepping outside, you find Euros. Euros, what was that perception?
Passive 15, roll 10.
You look out into the night. It's dark now. There is moonlight across the scene, and you can see the distant storm horns to the north and a line of trees to the east. You do a brief security check, as you've done many times in your career, seeing is there any danger of resting here? You don't see anything in the woods. Taldred, you find Yoros doing a once-over of the surrounding area.
Anything out of place?
Not that I can notice. Seems pretty atypical.
Okay. I have more to do, but if anybody else would like to step up first, I'll take a back seat for now.
Devin is good.
So I think Nothing Gold, like, sort of overhearing this conversation, might approach Devin and say, I'm curious about this political activism that you say is happening here.
He looks over his shoulder, even though there's obviously no one there. He says, well, your compatriot mentioned something about, what was it? He mentioned a group that I'm familiar with. Help for the Miners. There's a number of charities that operate in this area. I thought that's what they might be referencing, but this is an area of change. Many people feel disenfranchised. I think you will find that it is difficult to encounter many people up here in the mountains who don't feel a certain way about people like you.
People like me?
He takes your measure. I don't know how to put this diplomatically, but you don't much look like you're from around here.
No, but I've suffered the world as many of us have, I'm sure. How did you meet these people that they came to work with you?
I've worked as a foreman for 23 years. They were assigned to me. I am ostensibly responsible for their safety, but you can see how that's going.
Are they locals?
They're not, actually. They're specialists from out of town, as it were. Certainly not the kind of people we normally have working in the mine.
Are they human?
3 are. 1's not. The one that's not is the foreman. She's an elf. Talented.
Why do you think they're dead? Sorry, go ahead.
What would cause 4 artisans to come to your mine? Simple mine, right?
Money. Some things are in short supply now. Prestige and money are certainly one of them. And you, he points toward you, the older woman, Ada Worthware. What did you say?
What makes you think they're expired?
I don't think that. Just something that you should, a possibility that you should do your best to prepare for. I don't think any of them would have been felled by something as simple as tripping in the mine. I mean to say, this is a experienced group of professionals.
Do you pay your miners up front or only after they produce?
There's no advances in this industry, my friend.
Ah.
I'm sorry for this question in the sense that I have no idea how else to ask it because these kinds of politics are far above my grade. But do other people think they own this land, the mountain that the mines are in?
Devin Hale goes to open his mouth and then thinks the better of it. You sense that he is heavily massaging the phrasing he's about to give you. There's always, anytime there's real estate, there's going to be people that think that they own someone else's land. Never mind.
No, I'm curious.
I don't think that I've said too much. I don't want to send you on. I shouldn't speak out of turn. It is very possible that something mundane happened, like there was a problem with the mining elevator. Perhaps something in the mine itself. I think it's more likely that there was a flood or fire damp, sulfur gas.
You said she was an expert, though.
That's right.
I wouldn't expect something like that out of an expert. That sounds more like a first-year minor mistake.
Well, no one thought John Bing would wreck his ships. Roll history.
21.
John Bing was a famous admiral of Suzail. That's all you know. You're not sure
What
what
quip
you're
can
not
I
sure what
rip
he's
off of John Bing?
I don't know. You better think of one.
Well, I hope John Bing's ship is small in case that mine flooded.
Devin tilts his head like he's not sure what you're getting at.
Anyway.
I'm not saying it did or didn't flood.
Are there any other dangers that we should expect in this mine?
Then the mine itself, well, watch your step. That's certainly one thing. We use explosives down there to mine.
I hope we don't step on any explosives. I meant some less than savory creatures tend to live in the darkness.
Like occupational injury.
Something like that.
He searches mentally for a creature of the darkness that you may encounter down there.
I don't really care what his answer is. I'm trying to gauge how much of an interest he has in the miners completing their task and not living through it.
You sense a lack of humanity in Devon Hale.
Okay. Well, Devin, it's okay if we stay here for the night, correct?
It's not my inn, but I heard you exchange the same money I did for it, so bunk up.
Do you often stay at this inn?
When I have to.
Why do you have to stay at this inn right now?
Because I didn't want to try to take my horse down the mountain at 6 o'clock at night.
Oh, but you are headed to the mountain tomorrow.
No, down the mountain.
Ah, down the mountain. You're going to Arabel.
That's, well, farther than Arabelle, but yes.
I guess you're going for some sort of meeting or sort, because I don't see any, or Calcum with you.
Yeah, why don't you come with us? You would know the mines, right?
I think you'll find that I don't get the hazard pay that I'm assuming you already got.
Who do you think is employing us?
I know who's employing you, the Temple of the Radiant Heart. I'm not the one who's slow on the pickup here.
Oh. You feel that we're slow on the pickup. Well, explain it for me in terms that I can understand how the owner of a mine is running away from 4 people probably dead in it.
Taldrin can hear you guys yelling and he just mumbles, God damn it.
I'm far from the owner. Euros and Taldrid, you hear a rather loud argument starting to transpire inside of this house. Both of you have a sense of... what's the word? This is rather... Your companions are very conspicuous, aren't they? Devin engages in a... He is more than happy to vociferously defend his position as a mere employee, Ada, and he engages with you as long as you're willing to, in order to solidify what he's convinced himself, which is it makes perfect sense to get out of here.
Yeah, I've sensed that. He's running away from this situation. Well, can you draw us a map of maybe where we can have the hazard that you're escaping?
He smiles. I will. In the morning, if that's okay with you, I'll give you a map, just a sketch, but I'll give you all of the knowledge I have, and a list of the miners, as your companion requested.
Perfect. Your extreme cooperation is noted.
He dinks his glass against an invisible glass, and then takes a drink.
I also drink with all my friends all the time.
Should you choose? Well, and who's got something, if anything? What about
Taldred does.
What about outside? Yes, Taldred and Euros. I'm told you have things transpiring. What's brewing out
Yeah,
there?
so, basically, Taldred kind of gets out of sight best he can, about where he is right now. He kneels down, squats. That's a good word. He squats down, brings up his little holy symbol, and whispers into it, "Show me what the owl sees." And I'm going to use enhance ability for Owl's wisdom.
You enhance your wisdom. You feel the power of the moon. You feel
Oh, he
enhanced.
does.
You
Oh, he does.
feel you swell with power. Your holy symbol throbs with the direct intervention of Salune.
Taldred is going to look around this traveled area. Okay, let me get the perception roll in first, and then tell you what I'm looking for.
I will tell you mundane things that you observe while you're doing that. You observe there are 2 horses other than yours tied up in the back. Looks like the troughs are well watered. Go ahead.
One's a nat 20. So, what he's looking for is something other than what you might expect from mundane traffic. Things like, was there a scuffle? Did someone go off in a direction that you might not expect them? Like, footprints in the ground. Did anyone drop anything? Is there anything on the ground? That's the kind of stuff he's looking for.
You do a inventory of the ground. It's dark out, so you're having a hard time looking very far. Other than you have to do essentially a grid type search algorithm here, where you have to stop and look and stop and look, and you do so.
Yeah, he's mostly looking like around the torches and whatnot, where there is light. Obviously, he's not like like running off into the woods or anything.
You find a pile of rusted horseshoes, like a farrier was doing their work here. You find a very old sharpening wheel that looks like it hasn't been used in many years. The wood is rotten throughout. You find a fairly heavy imprint of hoofprints here on the road, as if this road gets used quite a bit. The flagstones are irregular, like they've been poorly maintained in the last couple years, perhaps. You find no obvious evidence of a scuffle. You find no footprints leading into the woods or anything like that. The theme of your observations is that it seems like traffic has probably fallen here from what it was. It seems like this place must have been pretty busy at some point, but now you have 8 out of 9 bunks empty, 1 person here with 1 horse. The other horse you assume belongs to the innkeeper. It seems rather sparse.
Taldred's gonna go back inside, and he would like to start up a conversation with Sarah. And so, Sarah, right?
Yes.
I was curious. It seems kind of empty in here.
It's the season.
Oh, really? I'd like to insight check that.
As you see fit.
Oh, and I have to do that at advantage. Yay! Where is it? All right.
Across the table, something for all players. A technique that you will notice Latra using quite often that I am very receptive to is I'd like to roll X for something. Feel free to employ this as you see fit.
19.
You think that Sarah's probably not giving you the full story, but I mean it makes sense. You're not going to get much. You're not going to get much ore out of the hills when they're covered in snow and ice. So it's not the flimsiest explanation you've ever heard, but certainly it seems like you can detect from the movement of her eyes. She looked up and to the right as she said it. Seemed like she was accessing something other than her memory of her logbook.
Gotcha. She was holding back a little bit, but it might not be something insidious. Just she didn't feel like telling the whole story. That's fine. He was going to ask, he said, has business been slower than usual?
It has. It has. I mean, don't rub salt in a wound, friend. But yes, it's business has slowed.
I apologize. I'm sorry. I just felt like we would have seen more traffic on the road, and we didn't see quite as much. I found that a little bit strange.
You didn't see anyone coming up the road? Not good for me.
I'm afraid so. Anyways, I'm gonna put in for the night. Thank you.
When the party chooses to rest here, we cut the session. So should you choose to take a long rest here, that's where we end for the night. Is that the vibe that I'm getting? I am inferring that I feel like people have exhausted their immediate plot threads here.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
And I want to make sure to sleep with my belongings clutching my chest.
Okay. Let us. Well, first, give me hands. Everyone's short resting. Everyone's long resting. Any objections?
Are we gonna set up like a watch order?
That was going to be my next question. First, I'm just hit the ready button. Let me know if you are in fact long resting. If you have other stuff to do, no problem. But if you are hitting the ready button, then I have questions about watch order and such.
I'll start on a short. Well, I'll start on a watch outside since I'm already out there, just kind of patrolling to begin with. So I'll just take it upon myself to volunteer and start the watch since I hear the commotion going on inside, and it sounds like they need to cool down for a little bit. Nap.
Some questions about your first watch, Euros. This long rest by default is 8 hours. We can divide this up however anybody would see fit. However, the minimum duration of watch is 2 hours. You could have up to 4 people on watch. You could also go as low as 2 people, and people could have 4-hour watches. If you take any watch at all, there will be an effect to your rest. So please tell me how you divide it up. You can have between 2 and 4 people have watch, or you could double up. You could conceivably have everybody on watch at some point. When you arrange yourself in this order, let me know what, if anything, are you watching for? What are you attempting to perceive and keep an eye on?
So I'll step inside real quick, and I'll just see if anybody else wants to get in on the watch as well. And I would just kind of ask an open-ended question with that.
I'll take final watch. I'll wake everyone up.
Okay, so I have 2 people on watch so far. Are you guys taking 4-hour watches? Or do we have other participants?
Let's draw straws.
I mean, I'm okay with a 4-hour watch if you need.
I'm not okay with you taking a 4-hour watch. I'm going to fashion straws for the other 4 of us. 2 of which are long, 2 of which are short.
You do so. If you draw a straw, I will determine for you whether you have drawn a long straw or short straw.
Can I sleight of hand and cheat?
Yes, you can.
I was gonna ask if I could perception and see if I could figure out if one of them was longer than the others.
So, before we get to that, so Ada, in your hands you have 4 straws. 2 are short, 2 are long. How do you want to do this?
The normal way, you hold the length of the straw in your fist. I'm going to turn my back when I arrange them. And I just have 4 straw lengths sticking out of my hand. They look apparently equivalent, unless you have the keenest of eyes.
Who do you hold it out to first?
I hold it out to the group and see who plucks one.
Taldred will grab one.
One moment. You withdraw a short straw.
Oops.
Critter pats you on the shoulder.
Casimir,
Well,
nothing
it'll
gold.
certainly help you cool off out here. You seem a little warm.
Gasmir, would you like to go next? Chances are in your favor.
That's true.
I'm merely wondering, do you not require less rest being an elf?
I'm actually a half-elf. We don't trance for sleep like elves do. Thought that was common
Let's
knowledge.
see. Oh, forgive me, I didn't take the time to measure the length of your ears.
Damn.
Yasmir reaches over to pluck one of the straws.
I will choose to take it positively.
Gastmir, you withdraw a long straw.
He looks at nothing gold. Lifts an eyebrow.
Yeah, she'll do her sleight of hand now and try to.
Okay. Roll your sleight of hand first.
16.
Okay. Ada, roll perception. DC 16.
13.
Nothing gold. You withdraw a long straw. Ada, you are left holding a short straw.
All right, I'll take the second watch. Taldred, seems like you're on third.
Is anyone looking for... Your default posture is looking for danger, essentially. Obvious interlopers. If you have any specific, I look for X, please let me know. No?
I think I'm mostly going to be keeping an eye out for just general movement. Just because this seems like a weird position, especially with the river. So I feel like if anything happened, it would want to come over the river from the trees on the other side.
I have... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and like one of the big things is probably listening for water movement. So, like any conspicuous splashes or anything like that from somebody stepping into the river or something. I think that would be a big thing to look out for.
Hey, go ahead.
We have not seen the husband, right?
That's correct.
So nothing gold might
To your
say,
knowledge.
oh, keep an eye out for Sarah's husband. Or an ear out.
Noted.
Could I have your watch order one more time? I'm sorry. I know it's Euros on the front end and Brenner on the back end.
And then me.
Well, so Taldred, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 is Euros, 4 is Brenner, 2 is Taldred, 3 is Ada. Is that correct?
Sounds right to me.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
No. Well, do you want to modify? I'm not trying to.
No, it's fine. I don't care. That's fine.
Okay. Any final closing thoughts?
Yes, I would like to... I have a feat that allows me to cast invisibility at will without using a spell slot. I would like to be invisible for the length of my watch. And I'm particularly watching for anybody entering or exiting the safe house. So if somebody approaches the safe house or the horses, I want to be mindful of that. So I'm going to park myself off the road, invisible, watching egress and entry.
Noted.
I also have the ability to go invisible anytime when I'm in dim light or darkness, so I'll just patrol on the outskirts invisible as well.
Noted.
For Brenner's watch, he's just gonna sit on the porch. He doesn't think that this place is supposed to be attacked or anything.
Taldred's staying inside. He's actually worried about these two people rummaging through their shit or something.
Oh, do you mean Gastmir and nothing gold?
No, I mean the unknowns. Sarah and Devon.
Well, you feel like you know nothing Golden Gasmere by now? They're not unknowns to you?
We have similar goals at the very least. Can't say the same for the others.
Taldred, you watch for a intrusion from the inside. Brenner, you are relaxed. You have a pretty good feeling that there is no attack coming, and as such, your watch will be fairly casual. Or so you hope.
So I hope. Before any of the watches even start, Brenner would push for people to eat now, so we can just leave in the morning.
Eat what?
He's tapping the iron ration on the table, almost as if he doesn't want to eat it by himself.
I'll grab some rations.
So
before I
alternately
step
one.
out.
You have. Make sure this is accounted on your character sheet. These rations feed one person for 1 day. if you are eating some of this, please tell me so that I can notate that and that we can update people's manifest.
Nothing gold will step outside at some point, and then after a short time later, she'll come back with an egg.
I'm not even gonna ask.
Yeah, I'm just gonna eat the ration.
Kind of an egg. You're showing like, is it actually like a
It's like an ostrich egg or something.
yeah, an ostrich egg?
An allosaur egg?
Oh, did you
I
roll
did.
for that?
I rolled
Okay.
earlier in the day. Yeah,
I see.
I rolled a 1.
Are you gonna
So it's like huge.
Yeah, how big? It's an allosaur. I don't.
No, you're right. Yeah, it's like your initial sale was perfect.
Yeah, can I share it? Is it big enough to like split with someone?
I believe it feeds one person for one day, and it's dangerous.
true.
It's dangerous if uncooked. I think is in the. Oh, you don't have the script. I will. You and me will confer
Okay.
soon.
She'll look for like an open campfire or something to cook it over. A little poached egg, maybe.
There
Egg
is.
soup.
There's a hearth. However, this may cut into your sleep time, and essentially, you'll be mortgaging some of your rest in order to handle food. Is that an okay bargain for you, Nothing Gold?
Would I rather be hungry or fully rested?
Or eat the ration. That was the third option.
But I already
That's
have
right.
this egg. What is it? What am I gonna do with this egg?
just hatch it?
Just hatch the egg.
We need a mascot.
I was generally under the impression that tracking food would not be important in this campaign.
Tracking food is important in this sense. Yes, this is. So I'm not going to ask. So you're never going to write anything. I'm not going to ask you to fill anything out ever again. But food is still important. In this game. I'm sorry I gave you a wrong impression.
So, is there food available at this way house?
There are green peanuts, which are completely inedible and could possibly be desperate food for a starving man.
Okay, I'll have some of the iron ration.
It's 1 iron ration per person, and I don't know how generous these guys are being.
Does Ada clearly not have food on her?
I don't have food on her.
He would produce at least one for you.
Thank you so much, Brenner.
Anyone else make the great decision of not coming with food? And you're welcome.
Told her
If
to eat his
nothing
own
gold
ration.
has that fucking giant egg, then at first Gasmir is, where in the world? But then she goes, "Oh,
It's rude to ask.
Just crack it already then,
Okay.
if that's to be dinner.
Oh, are you invited?
Would you rather I starve?
Hang on.
Are you internally debating whether or not you'd like
Yeah,
to see
she
Gasner
just-
starve?
She just rolled wisdom and is finally like, "Ugh, all right." It's almost like there's like a maternal sort of relaxation. She's like, sure, yes, I'll make you an egg. You clearly don't know how this world works if you're not traveling with food, young lady.
Mom, give me an omelette.
Is the fire even big enough for her to cook?
It is. It's actually, if anything, the fire seems a bit too big for the space. You feel really warm in here. It's really like it's kind of searing. It'll be tough to sleep in this for sure, especially on these awful bunk beds that smell like human sweat.
So I'm gonna take a little bit of the ration that was offered, and then as I am stepping out to start my watch, I'm going to control flame as I'm walking out and just lower the heat a little bit.
You cast Control Flame. Is that correct?
Correct.
You do so. Go ahead.
Is he doing
Please.
this as Nothing Gold is cooking?
Yes,
She gets mad.
I've already stepped out as it happened.
I mean, you might be able to feel the flames pulsing back to their previous heat. If not, a little bit hotter.
Do you tug of war over the power of fire here?
Nah, I've already stepped out.
She slams the eggs down in front of Gasper. Here's your fucking food.
Jesus.
Why, thank you. That is such a generous offer. You get the feeling that this might be sarcasm at the anger that's being expressed, but she takes the eggs.
I mean, the anger's not, like, expressed directly at Gasmere, but yes, valid response anyway.
I'm so glad that we have something to fight over. And we will long rest and cut the session there. So 2 questions before we go. 1, can everybody play next week? Everyone's good. Everyone's good. Everyone's good. Ian?
I think so. I was thinking about going to a Magic pre-release, but I may just not go.
Go to midnight.
Yeah, I could.
If you have any, just let me know if you think it's going to be a scheduling thing. Not a problem. Just keep me abreast of what's going on. Okay. Well, I have a few things for people. I owe a couple people things for this coming week. We have a few things to touch base on. I will confirm a couple things that people put out there. So we have a lot to talk about this week, but otherwise, I will see you next Friday for more D&D. And thank you for. I know, like the start of campaigns, it always starts kind of slow. It's tough to get things moving,
That's fun.
but yeah, I think we are closing on velocity here.
There's a way to schedule events in Discord. It's like fairly new.
I
Does
don't
anybody
to
know
do
how to do that? It's like built in now.
No clue.
It's
We can
in the
figure it
option
out, though.
somewhere.
I'll do some research before then. I'll see if any, but next Friday, same time, same place. So 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern, midnight GMT.
Sounds good.
Very good.
Okay, well, I'm going to step out. I am starving. This was great.
Go eat, bud.
See you guys soon.
See ya.
Thank you.
Later.
Good night,
Keep
friends.
roasting.
Good
Good
night.
night, everybody.